Welcome, one and all, to SkepTalk, the show where you talk to skeptics. I'm your host, Forrest Valkai, and welcome not only to SkepTalk, but also to the new and improved Valkai Labs office studio streaming whatever. Amber and I have spent the past couple of days completely rearranging this entire space, so expect more cool things to come in the future with that. I'm stoked to death about it, and I'm even more stoked to be joined by my dear friend, the illustrious and handsome Dr. Blitz. How are you doing today, good sir?
I'm doing okay. It's like 100 and whatever degrees outside, but you know, we're doing okay.
Yeah, it's god awful. Climate change will kill us all. But
it's the end,
dude. It's we're all gonna die. I am looking. I want to tell you. I just for the audience who's tuning in at this moment, the people who are just starting. I don't know why my camera is so dark. I don't usually like to apologize for production things, but like, let me tell you, my display capture, my preview over here is like beautiful and bright, and here on the actual screen it looks like that. So if I'm just looking a little dark to you, I apologize. We'll try to make it better as we go along. I know I'm going to get comments about it. I'm just starting off at the beginning. For everybody else who doesn't care, and for the people who are just here for the show, and for the people who wonder what this show is, let me just fill you in. This is a great show where you, as the viewers, can call us as two scientists and ask us questions about the supernatural, questions about gods and ghosts and demons and spirits and angels and whatever came before the Big Bang, whatever that means. Ask us the questions that are on your mind about evolution and the age of the earth and where the universe came from and whatever else is burning questions into the back of your head. And also ask us questions about the deities that you believe in, why you believe in them and why we don't. If you're a theist or a creationist or a young earther or a flat earther or whatever else, this is your opportunity to have a serious conversation with people who disagree with you and not go on spewing whatever straw man or whatever hyperbole you heard in the Sunday sermon or from Answers in Genesis or PragerU or whatever else. Because let me tell you, as somebody who is an online educator, a science communicator, and I'm sure Blitz, you can attest to the same thing. Every single person, and I wish I were exaggerating. Every person that comments on my videos telling me that they can debunk evolution in 2 minutes and that they can prove the Earth is 6,000 years old and all these other things, comes at it without understanding what evolution is or what the Big Bang is or what abiogenesis is, and just spewing something that I've heard Answers in Genesis or John and Jane or whatever, the Discovery Institute, some pseudoscience organization tell them to say. So if you're serious about what you believe and you want to talk about it a little bit, this is your chance. We will be as pleasant as you are. Calls go as nicely as our callers allow them to go. Blitz is very nice. I'm an idiot. Together, you're going to have a great time as long as you're cool with answering serious questions and asking serious questions. The number on the bottom of the screen is 720-619-2288. Call that number to talk to Blitz and I, or use the web link in the description and call there. Either way, we'll talk to you as soon as we can. And we do prioritize these callers. We've already got several callers on the line now, a couple of atheists and a couple of theists as well, it looks like. We're going to prioritize theist calls, and we're not going to take too many atheist calls. So if you're an atheist, maybe save it for another show, because this is the show where we can talk for a long time. You will be on hold for hours. Last thing before we get started, Blitz, how are you?
Didn't you already ask that? I told you it was hot as hell.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, what you on your career? Like, what are you up to?
Yeah. Well,
I should have been.
Okay, that's a great question. So I'm still doing TikTok primarily, at least until they get disappeared. That's where I will be most of the time. spending my mornings making videos, doing debunkings, and debating people, whether it's on the destruction to the scientific community that is currently happening in the administration that we currently live in the United States, or talking about philosophical implications of the Big Bang. Those are all important and useful things that I like to talk about.
I'm into it.
Aside from that, I'm doing some well, as a currently jobless former postdoc who's looking for another postdoc, still doing some research stuff. I spent about half my day on that. So I spent today learning about the geometry of quantum computing.
Hell yeah. I'm going to be real with you as a biologist. I don't know what those words mean in that order. The geometry of quantum computing. What actually could that possibly mean is, I guess, the question that I want to ask you.
Yeah, so roughly the statement is something like, you do like optimization to like design a program, right? So that you have like the certain things in the certain order. Well, it turns out that optimizing quantum code is really hard. And so, you can assign like some sort of geometric shape to the optimization program or problem, and then you can talk about geometry there. And I like geometry, and quantum mechanics is something that other people care about. So,
I swear, like, I love your work. You just explained that thoroughly, and I could not repeat it back to you. Like, you apply geometry to math. No, applying geometry to math, I get. Applying geometry to a problem I guess I can make that make sense in my head. That's just a wild thing to say, and I think it's fascinating, and I want to hear more about it someday.
Well, maybe you will in a year when I figure it out.
Yeah, call me and tell me about it whenever it happens.
Okay.
We've got a few calls already on the line. I think we should just jump right in if that's cool with you, because we already got lines filling up, and I want to make sure we got more later on. So let's start with Georgie, pronouns he, him, calling in all the way from Bulgaria, who is a theist who says that God is not what we think. Georgie, you are on the line with Forrest and Blitz. How you doing today?
I'm doing very well.
Awesome. So what God do you believe in that you're telling us is not what we think?
Well, in my point of view, my first point is that God is alone, and therefore, by definition, he doesn't have awareness.
Okay. That doesn't really answer my question. What God is alone and unaware?
The one God, the pure existence.
But is that a God, or is that just the universe?
Existence itself, pure existence.
That just doesn't sound like it's a God.
Yeah, let me just ask some follow-up questions here to make sure I'm understanding. This God, you said it lacks awareness. Is it conscious?
No.
Okay, so it's not conscious.
He's alone.
Can it make... Okay, so there's another question there. Can it make decisions?
He's infinite, pure existence.
Okay, that doesn't answer my question. Can he make decisions?
No, he cannot.
Okay. Can he cause anything to happen? Can he do anything? Does he have any agency?
He is everything and everywhere. Infinite points of view.
You've made that clear. That's not what I asked you. Can he do things?
He's already there. He's everything.
So when anything happens, it is because this God caused it, or because this God is that thing that happened?
This will circle back to evolution. So my second point of view is...
I would appreciate you just answer the question I just asked you.
No, he's like asleep, you know?
Right, that's not what I asked you.
No, so ask me again.
Okay, you said, I asked you initially, can God do anything? And your answer to that 2 times in a row was he is everything. So my follow-up clarifying question was, when you say that, do you mean that when something happens, anything at all, that is because God caused it? Every single thing that happens is because God caused it? Or do you mean to say that everything that happens is this God? So it doesn't matter what caused what. God is this thing that happened. Or is there some other interpretation that you have?
I do not believe in time. I think time is an illusion.
That's not the answer to my question. Do you agree that things happen?
Mechanically, they do not happen.
Do you agree that events occur? Like right now,
No,
we
I
are
do.
having a conversation, right? Do you agree that this event is taking place? We are having a conversation right now.
I believe each moment is eternal.
Okay, it
What?
sounds like you're having a fundamentally hard time just answering a straight question here. And I have other questions for you, but they're not going to go anywhere if we can't just get a simple, straight answer to a simple question. Blitz, do you have something that you want to ask before I move on to a different line of questioning?
Yeah. So this thing that you believe in, is it functionally different from the thing that I believe in, namely the universe? Does it have any additional properties beyond just existing and containing stuff that obey physical laws?
Existence is not subject to time.
Does that answer my
Time
question?
is
Do you
a
think that
concept.
answered?
Excuse me?
Do you think that answered my question? I was asking, do you functionally or do you believe in anything that I don't, functionally speaking?
Can you repeat?
Yes. So look, I'm an atheist. I'm some sort of physicalist, which means that I think that there's a universe that exists that has stuff in it, and that stuff obeys some set of or follows some set of laws or descriptions or what have you. Now, it sounds like you're describing a god, but as far as I'm concerned, the god that you're describing is functionally identical to the thing that I'm referring to when I say the universe. So does the thing that you're describing as God, does that have any different features than what I think of as the universe?
The God I'm talking about encompasses all existence, all dimensions, infinite points of view.
So no?
No, yes, no.
What?
Okay. He said no, yes, no. So I'm guessing that meant no. Because there were more no's than yeses. So I guess the first two cancel each other out. Who knows? Georgie, if this universe, if everything that exists can be called a god in the way that you're doing it, and that it is functionally indistinct from what Blitz and I agree exists, which is the universe, and this universe is not conscious and not aware and can't make any decisions, why does it have he him pronouns?
Because these questions arise in a time-space reality.
Explain to me. Explain to me how that answers my question. I would like you, please, Georgie, repeat what my question was, and then start a complete sentence saying, "Here's how now what I just said to you fills in the void of ignorance in that question." Tell me how that answers the question that I asked.
You asked me why does this God have he, him pronouns?
Okay. So we know you heard the question. Now, how does your answer actually fulfill the problem of that question? How does that solve the question?
Well, I'm just mentioning that we need to call him something.
Why not her? Why not it?
Seems right.
It seems right to assume that the entire universe is a man.
No. Anything you want.
but you still said he, not she. What do you think? What if she doesn't want to be called he? How would you know what she wants?
I truly don't know.
Are they
I truly
capable of
don't think
wanting
you
anything?
are. I don't think so, because I'm pretty sure he said earlier on that she can't make any decisions, so how could she have any wants?
It doesn't.
Last question I have for you, Georgie, and then I think I'm good, is, unless Blitz is curious, but it just if Blitz and I, as atheists, can look at the universe and have a completely mechanistic and materialistic and potentially nihilistic view of what it is, and just say, all right, this is just there. There's no meaning. There's no magic. There's nothing else beyond. This is just everything we know right here. We've got it covered, and we have that understanding of the universe. And you can have the exact same thing, but also say, and it's also a guy. Why? Why is there this necessary step to add personhood to the universe? Why call the universe God in the first place if it functions perfectly fine without that hypothesis, without that assumption put upon it?
Well, what I was saying is that there is nothing outside of the one God. So it has no awareness.
How do you know?
By definition, he's alone. It's alone.
Blitz, you're a physicist, as far as I know, as far as you've told me. I trust you. Is there anything outside of the universe?
As far as we can tell, no, by definition.
Okay. Is there any way to certainly know that, or is that something that's just like, as far as we can tell kind of thing?
I mean, it's one of those things where it's like kind of true by definition, insofar as you define the universe to be all the things that physically exist. But
Right.
you could absolutely say that there's like bubble universes that are separated by like vast swaths of empty space. And then you might say that those are different universes.
Okay, cool. Georgie, does that sound like the God that you believe in?
Pretty much,
Little
yes.
bubble gods? Little bubble gods that exist?
He encompasses it. I'm sorry.
Right. So what I've gotten from this conversation is that you believe in the exact same thing that we do. You just call it God. And it doesn't do anything, and it can't do anything, and it can't think, and it can't decide, and it doesn't even know it exists. You just call it that. I don't understand why you would waste your time with this extra baggage of assuming that something exists that has absolutely no consequence or doesn't do anything.
My point of view is that everything is here and now, and mechanically, time and space do not exist.
That doesn't answer the question
That's
that I just asked you.
It's also a whole can of worms.
Yeah. Do you want to dig into that can of worms at all, Blitz? You're more equipped for that than I am.
I don't think it's relevant for the conversation, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah, I've learned very little here, Georgie. I've learned what you think about space-time and stuff, but that doesn't really answer any questions for me.
Well, all we have access to is awareness. And we are eternal beings. We're the first beings that have awareness, and we have infinite awareness.
So I'm just a lowly physicist.
What?
Maybe, Forrest, you can answer this, but I'm pretty sure that humans are not eternal. But maybe you know more about biology than I do.
You know what? In all my years studying biology, I don't think I've ever said or heard anyone say that humans are eternal. We have a pretty set lifespan, and even our entire species has only been here for about 200,000 years, and even our entire genus, everything you could call a human, is about 2.6, maybe 2.8 million years. So, but I guess that doesn't really make any sense considering the fact that Georgie also said that events don't exist. And so, and all of time and space, every moment is eternal. Georgie, when you say that, are you talking like Zenos Paradox kind of situation?
I have not heard of that. I'm sorry.
Zenos Paradox was the idea, in essence, if I were to shoot an arrow, at a target over there, the distance between me and that target has a set number, and that number has a half, and then there's a half of that, and a half of that, and a half of that, and I can take half and half and half and half infinite amounts of times, and the number will get infinitely small, but it is still a number that's greater than zero. And therefore, because there is an infinite amount of numbers greater than zero, no matter how small, there is an infinite distance between me and that target, and so the arrow can never get there. And when we do the same thing with time, there is an infinite amount of time. If I divide the time it takes for the arrow to get there in half, again and again and again, an infinite amount of times, the number is infinitely small, but never zero, and therefore there's an infinite amount of time when I shoot the arrow. Therefore, each individual moment and each individual instance between any 2 points is an infinity of time and an infinity of space, and therefore no moments, no motion, no time, none of that can logically exist. That's Zenos Paradox from back in the ancient Greek times. Is that where you're getting this concept that time doesn't exist, or do you have a different way of getting around that?
Not precisely. Another way of saying it is we have a campfire and we have wood, and then we have ashes, and it's not so apparent that wood becomes ashes.
That's a separate question, right? That's Hume's. I think is it Hume, who was talking about the non-provability of causality. But that's kind of a separate question than the the existence of space-time, right? Space-time can still exist even if you don't have causality.
It also sounds almost like maybe I'm misinterpreting this because I don't have that background with Hume, but like it sounds like the ship of Theseus kind of situation. Like this one bit of wood becomes ash, and this next bit of wood becomes ash, and when does it stop being wood? And blah 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 blah. Like this sounds to me like you're just getting hung up on like these concepts and not just embracing what reality is, and you're giving identities and personalities to just physical things, and I don't understand why you would do that. Do you get any benefit out of this? Do you get any better understanding of the universe out of this? Is this a model that you can then make better predictions out of and come up with a better understanding of reality? Like, what does this do for you, Georgie?
Well, this is a loaded question, but I would say first that all we have access to is awareness.
I'm sorry. How is that a loaded question?
Because I have thoughts in my mind that appear. So the question, some of the question you're asking appear in a time-space perspective.
So you're accusing me of coming into this with presuppositions, that I'm using my worldview to ask you questions about the utility of your worldview, assuming by my worldview that utility is a good thing. Is that what I'm hearing?
Can you repeat that?
It sounds like you're saying that my worldview is that we exist in space-time, and I am judging your statements and your point of view here from my position as someone who believes in the existence of space-time. And so therefore you're calling that loaded. That's what it sounds like you're saying, but I can't be sure. So I'm trying to give you every benefit of every doubt here and summarize what I think you're saying. But I'm asking you for clarification so I don't straw man your point.
My point of view is that we have created physical reality because it provides us an opportunity to view ourselves from a new point of view.
So you're an idealist. you think that reality is created by us?
Correct.
It definitely sounds like it.
Yeah. Okay. So now we're in a totally different situation. Can you give me one example, Georgie, of a mind which exists outside of matter? Or independent of matter, I should say.
All right. So let me first say that I do not believe that matter exists.
Okay.
What do you believe?
It's everything I say, right? Can you give me an example of a mind that I can say that Blitz and I can look at and say this is a mind that exists independent of matter? Can you give me an example of that at all?
Yes, of course. First,
Okay, what is it?
you have to reach for a frequency, for an idea, and then that idea becomes reality.
God damn it! Now we're on frequencies. And also that didn't answer my
eye
question.
is currently
You said I would have to reach for a frequency. I am not a mind independent of matter. My mind is bound to matter.
You're the infinite universe.
Okay, so it's freaking, what's that guy? Manly Palmer Hall or something like that. That guy that was like, "Fuck, don't you know you're running the sun every moment, and you're spinning the galaxies, and everything is connected, and you right now are making the whole universe work by your very existence, and so is everybody else." That guy. That's the Alan something is the same. Alan Watts. It's the same kind of thing. Yeah, Georgie, it's 20 minutes now, and I feel like all that's happened is every single time I try to give you an out, you tell me you don't believe that thing exists. And every time we try to get to the next step of really understanding where you're coming from, you stack on the next level of just kind of like woo-woo science of, frequencies and everything's eternal and you are the universe. And it's, yes, metaphysics, which I'm sure
that.
Which I believe you just used that word, assuming that was like a solid thing that we could latch onto, when really you might as well have said the word spiritualism. It means the same nothing. It's spiritualism that read the cover of a physics textbook. So I feel like we've gotten really nowhere, and we haven't learned even how to repeat back to you what you believe in. And that's, I've been asking you sincere questions, and I feel like you've given me nothing here, and certainly haven't given me a reason to believe what you believe. So I would like to try to talk to you again someday. If you could please try to just consolidate what you believe and why you believe it, and give me, more than anything, the thing that I want to know is, why is your view necessary and helpful? Because if you just believe the exact same thing that Blitz and I believe, but at a totally different angle with all this interconnection and stuff that we like, I just want to know what that does for you scientifically. Does that help you learn anything? Does that better explain anything about the universe? If not, I don't understand the utility of the belief. And that's a totally different question as to whether or not it's actually true. Blitz, do you have any final questions for Georgie?
Yeah, Georgie, what I would suggest is, it sounds like you're trying to affirm a view that is similar to, say, Spinoza's view on God. So perhaps go read some of Spinoza's work and then see if that rings true with you. And then you could at least come back and say, I believe in Spinoza's God. And then there's something to talk about.
Yeah, that would be interesting for sure. All right, Georgie, thanks so much for calling in. Maybe talk to you next time.
Thank you.
Bye. Yeah, I feel like I don't know. I don't know what just happened for the past 20 minutes.
Pretty sure he's an atheist. He's an atheist who's also an idealist.
It's bizarre. But then if he's calling the whole universe God, because that's I've heard theists, like diehard theists, say that kind of stuff, and then also try to squeezle in Jesus. And so I don't know. Maybe I should have asked him that. Is the Bible true? And maybe that could have helped us out a little bit. Like,
that would have been a good one.
It's very tough. Let's move on to the next caller. I gotta tell you, my troll alert is going pretty hard. So, caller, just know you're on a short leash already. But we've got someone whose name is listed as The Chosen. We're gonna ask questions about that.
Florida checks
Pronouns
out.
he, him. Calling in from Finicky Legos, and they can be, who says, of course, evolution is a fact. It's part of the creation. The Chosen, you're on the line with Forrest and Blitz. How are you doing today?
Hey, Forrest, how are you?
I'm having an awesome day. Like I said earlier, starting with the name The Chosen and calling in from a web caller already kind of sets my troll dar off a little bit. So just know I'm not willing to waste a whole lot of time. But if you're serious about what you're saying, I'm willing to talk about it a little bit.
First of all, I wanted to say that the last call, that was terrible. Oh my God, this guy, he doesn't know nothing. So if you're ready to know about God,
Don't be so
be
quick
ready.
to judge the previous guy.
Yeah,
Be
I was gonna
ready.
say with what you're about to say, I'm pretty sure it would not be cast in stones. Just out of curiosity, you say you are the chosen. Chosen by whom?
Usually it's a messenger. A messenger lets you know that who you are. The same thing happened with Jesus. When Jesus, he was growing up, he didn't know he was the chosen. But once he found out he was the chosen, that's when he started to helping people, preaching about God, teaching the way. Same thing happened to me. It's time.
Okay.
And I'm excited about it.
Does this happen to lots of people or just a special few people?
No, because prophets, you don't see a lot of prophets. You see what I mean? How many prophets do you know? That you know? Not personally.
Okay, so
how many
you believe that, so just to be clear, you believe that you are a prophet on par with Jesus?
No. Jesus was a prophet, but he failed his mission. So, time goes on, and God sends messengers, prophets, but they have failed. You see what I mean? So I got to be careful not to get in trouble like Jesus did. You see what I mean?
Yeah, you don't want to get crucified, I guess.
Yeah.
Now living times when they don't do that. You see what I mean? Like, for example, crucifixion. You see people wear crosses in their necks, in necklaces, but they don't know that a cross is a diabolical sign. You see? It's like me putting in a necklace a guillotine. Can you imagine putting a guillotine? Can you imagine
Kind of
Jesus?
funny. I'll agree with that.
Yeah, can you imagine if Jesus comes back and he sees everyone with crosses and he will be like, what the heck are you doing? This brings me bad memories. And you're wearing a cross? Are you kidding me? You see what I mean? People is lost. They don't know how to do it.
That's definitely a criticism that we've used just to kind of make fun of things. But it sounds to me like you're throwing on a little bit of extra spice to this, that this is actually
I'm going to give you everything, brother. I'm going to give you everything. If you want, it all depends on you,
I'm just out of curiosity, do you think that people are allowed is it good to eat birds? If you had fried chicken, would you have a moral issue with that?
Just think about it. For example, what is a bird? A bird is a beautiful animal. And it was designed to fly, not to be in a cage, not to be in KFC, not to be in your belly. It's simple.
Is it okay to ride horses?
Life is about respect. You see what I mean?
Is this fucking Carlos?
There you go.
Yeah, I knew it. So once again, squeezing your way around a permaban through so many shows because nobody wants to put up with your insane bullshit. And nobody wants to put up with your crazy bullshit because you just spout fucking nonsense and tell people that they have mental illnesses and that they're having a bad life because they're gay and trans and all this shit. And nobody wants to hear your fucking garbage. And so you've been banned over and over and over. So you just found another way somehow to get another IP address to skirt the ban and tell everybody that you're Jesus now. Wow. What an arrogant piece of shit.
That's really
Yes.
upsetting because dude was promoting like vegetarianism, which is, cool and based.
Hey, we could have had a great conversation about it. I'd love to hear it, but no, I'm not really interested in it. There's a reason. What's really funny is that Carlos still blows up my Instagram whenever I post random shit, trying to make points. I've had him muted for months, and nobody can see his comments but him. And he still makes them. He still comments quite a bit, telling people that they'll put rainbow flag equals death time and random shit, or bad quality of life and random shit like that, and call me and Matt Dillahunty and everybody else arrogant and ignorant and all sorts of things, because it's great. It's a great fun time. Carlos, I don't say this as a joke. I don't say this as a gotcha or like a burn against you. I mean this sincerely. Seek help. And with that, we're going to move on. Bye-bye. What a wild ride. Carlos calls in every now and then, and we'll just start talking about the rules of the universe and his famous thing. Once you know the rules, then you'll know God. And once you know the rules, and we're like, what's the rules? And he's like, that's the thing. You need to know the rules. And he never says the fucking rules. But like, random rules are don't eat birds and don't ride horses. Carlos, I'm going to go eat a bucket of KFC chicken on the back of a horse while burning a Bible and desecrating a church with a rainbow flag flying straight out of my asshole. And I'm going to do it all for you.
That sounds like an afternoon.
That's what the future liberals want. Fuck, dude. 0 for 2 so far, but we got more callers, and again, and we have another theist caller that we'll get to next. Again, I just want to throw out there, if you're watching this and you have questions, if you are sincere, if you're a Christian and you're watching this show, did the last 2 callers represent your God effectively? Are you happy with the way that your beliefs have been perpetrated and presented thus far? Give us a call and do it better. That's the thing. If you're a theist, pray to God to give you the courage to present us with a seriously good argument. Pray for the wisdom. Pray for the courage. Pray for the insight. And give us we want to hear it. But so far, you're hearing what we're getting, y'all. Can you blame us for not believing? 720-619-2288 or use the web link in the description. Let's talk. Opal English is the person that we have on the line here. Pronouns they, them. Calling in from languishing artiodactyls. We're talking about deer that are having a miserable time.
Miserable.
What a place to call in from. Who's a theist who wants to present good reasons for the use and uses for faith. Pardon me. Good reasons and uses for faith. Opal English, you were on the line with Forrest and Blitz. How you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great. I'm from Lafayette, Louisiana. I don't know what happened in the translation there, but
yeah, who knows?
I'm from the USA and Louisiana.
It says L.A., and I don't know what that could possibly mean besides languishing artiodactyls. I took a guess. I assumed that's what you meant. Weird.
I thought I put in the whole thing. My bad.
Oh, it's not on you. It's on me. It's 100% on me. I assumed that's what L.A. meant. I didn't know. But hey, we got you on, and we want to talk to you. And I've got you seeing this gnat flying around my body? I'm losing my mind.
No one can see it for us.
Oh, good. I just look insane. So tell me, you say you present good reasons and uses for faith. What are you talking about?
Good reasons, yes. Well,
what's going on?
Thing is, they have to be very personal reasons, because I think faith is a way for a person to grow beyond what they've been represented on this earth. Some people grow up in positions where they're not taught the things they need to be taught when they're younger. They grow up in bad positions where they're taught bad things, and they need something beyond themselves to grow. But it has to be personal. It can't be something that's dictated by somebody else. Otherwise, it's just manipulative.
Okay. So just let me try and understand. I can tell you sincerely, without giving too many details, I had a terrible childhood. Did not have a great time. And I wasn't taught a lot of great things. And yeah, I wasn't taught a lot of great things. I was taught some good things, but there's a lot of issues there. And I had to learn as I became an adult how to be a good how to make life good and how to help people in the right way and how to succeed in the right way. And like I changed a lot of myself as I grew, and I think I did okay. I'm not perfect, but I think I've done better. I'm definitely better than where I
seem great
was with the people I grew. Thank you.
personally.
I appreciate that. Do you think that personal growth and me going out of my way to find new ideas and test new ideas and ask big questions and explore different religions and philosophies and all, was that an act of faith or was that an act of dedication? Am I misinterpreting what you're saying? Like, I'm asking, do you think that I've had a faith-based life is basically what I'm asking.
While I might personally myself see that as a God-given thing, that's still something you worked for, and no one has the right to take away how hard you worked for it. I think not believing is just as valid a path as believing sometimes. It just all depends on, first, our neurological makeup and also our psychological path and what we have to get through and what we need. I think there are good reasons to believe, and I think there are good reasons to not believe. And I see a lot of times from people who don't believe more acts of what I would consider faith than from I see people who say they do.
Can you elaborate on that?
I see like the atheist community and the line and a lot of people, you're tackling very harmful theological thoughts. Like the fact that, oh, if we have eternal souls, well, then we get to decide what right and wrong looks like, and we get to choose that for everyone on earth, which I feel theologically, even biblically and scripturally, we're told not to do. It can be read either way. It depends on what you're trying to get out of it. When you deal with any ancient text, it's something you have to negotiate with. It's not a set truth. It's a truth you have to philosophize and you have to deal with and you have to personalize, but it's only meant to be personal. It's not meant to be everyone follows this set path, because that doesn't even work for psychology.
So my question was more, I was asking you to elaborate on the claim that like non-believers, atheists, often have more faith in something or do acts of faith. I just wanted you to elaborate. What kind of faith do you mean for non-believers?
I wish I saw more in like the Christian community what I see in the atheist community, which is calling out bad faith. When you see somebody obviously using their position for gain, you're not afraid to call it out. And I feel like we should be doing more of that ourselves. It's kind of what we're told to do. It's our job, and it aggravates me that less people won't do it. I see so many people like Jacqueline Glenn, for instance, or other influencers who have worked so hard to defeat these narratives that these types of sinners are not acceptable in God's grace. Well, that's not what Scripture says. And that these types of things are harmful when it can be interpreted that way, but it can be interpreted other ways too. Yeah, I feel like you guys are fighting against the mammoth.
It sounds like you're saying
doing the right thing.
It sounds like you're saying that arguing against faith is in itself an act of faith, because we are working to support a worldview that we believe in and try to make a better world that we want to see. And that in itself is a faith-based behavior. That's what it sounds like you're saying. I want to make sure I'm understanding that.
I feel, you're right. I do feel that way. I feel like even if you can rationalize it numerically, sometimes you just have to count that the numbers are going to add up, that the math is going to math.
Okay, so you're using the word faith not to mean, well, you're using the word faith in two ways at the same time. You're using it to mean belief in something that you have no good evidence for, which is what we would talk about. And you're also using it to mean like believing in the bigger picture or trying to do what you believe is the right thing.
Yes, sir.
Is that a fair summary of what you're talking about?
Human.
Okay. So if it's okay for the purpose of this conversation, just to make sure that we don't get too tangled up, I'm going to separate those words, if that's okay with you. When we talk about trying to be a better person and improve the world around you and all these things, let's give that a different term. What would you prefer to say instead?
Humanitarianism.
Sure, humanitarianism.
There you go.
Okay, great. So you're saying, just to make sure that I'm saying this properly, you're saying that you see more humanitarianism in secular communities sometimes, and you think that secular communities should be doing that because at the end of the day, their efforts towards humanitarianism don't often work out for the better because they are basing them on what we would all agree is faith, which is belief in things unseen. Whereas atheists and secularists don't really have that kind of faith. And so we have to base our humanitarian efforts off of evidence. Is that a fair
Right.
way
Well, you
to
have
say?
to include more than your personal dogma, and that's really important in the story.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's important as scientists, we care a lot about getting that personal dogma the hell out of our own way.
Right, exactly. And you want to include more than just your own personal point of view. You want it to be equal for everybody. You don't want it to just be equal for the people who agree, oh, I believe what you believe, so it's okay. And if you don't believe what I believe, you deserve whatever you get. That's not really fair.
Okay. I think I'm understanding.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So what I guess I want to, because I so far we agree more than we disagree for sure. I think that everybody has. I think that everybody has things that they believe in strongly. It causes, not necessarily like things, but like causes and ideals that they believe in sincerely and that they're going to fight for and work for. I agree on that. I agree that a lot of people use that belief in bigger picture and all these things to do stupid, heinous, shitty things. And a lot of people do really good, wonderful things. And I think that religious faith is a hindrance more than it is a help to doing good things. Do we agree on those basic premises?
I think speaking nowadays, you're probably right. I think at one point, religious faith was a great tipper in the positive factor. But I think over so much time, it's been manipulated to the point to where it's like, it's basically carbon copy from one person to the next, make people do what you want to do. It's very manipulable. If you don't have just a personal connection that you don't need another community to back up, that you don't need to feel validated by anybody else, then you don't really have anything but what someone else is telling you to believe in.
Okay, this makes sense. Blitz, do you have anything before I proceed to another line of questioning?
Yeah, it just seems like you came on and you said that you think that there can be good reasons to have faith. And when you came on, it sounded like the kind of thing that somebody says, like, hey, I have a good reason to believe in some divine being, right? To have faith in that thing. But now it sounds like the way that you're coming at it is that there are good reasons to have beliefs. And I just think that that's not very contentious. Sure, everybody has beliefs. Typically, or sometimes at least, those reasons are good. The question is what are the good reasons to have belief in a divine being? That's the real important question here.
Well, what I can tell you for me personally is that I needed something to raise me above myself. I was going through trauma therapy, and I was going through a lot of different bad events at one time. And I felt personally connected to something that reached out to me. I stopped believing for a long time. And I can admit that scientifically it could be a psychological break. It's only fair to admit that that could have happened to me. But I feel different about it, and I know putting effort and energy into the feeling that there is something above me has caused me to become a better person. And I didn't have a choice in this. Life was going to force me on this path one way or another. I just had a choice as to whether or not I believed in something greater than myself to become something greater than myself.
So roughly you're saying something like, look, there could be psychological reasons why people believe things. Maybe they have some sort of experience that is really compelling. Even if they can rationalize it away, it's still a very compelling feeling that they had. And then that feeling, that experience, or that whatever it might be, might give them a reason to change their life, to fix their life, to be a better person. I think that if that's what you're saying, I think that that's absolutely true. I think that there are people who can have experiences that are wildly compelling, even if there is another rational explanation for them. They can be absolutely because that's the way human psychology is. In which case, I hope that experience leads them to a belief that leads them to being a better person, I suppose. But surely somebody else's experience is not a good justification for, say, me to have that belief.
Not necessarily for you to have that belief immediately. I just would hope that you would leave yourself open to the opportunity if ever you face a situation where, like me, you needed something greater. Because I've seen people shut themselves off to it too, and I feel like just sometimes, not every time, sometimes there's plenty of other ways to get around it, and you should try secular ways first. You shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket. You should try as many approaches as you can to a problem, but you shouldn't shut yourself off to them either. And I worry that some people are doing that because they just don't. I shut myself off to it for a while because I thought I was too stupid to make an opinion. Who am I? I don't know anything. All these other people are smarter than me. And then I finally found a way to find value in my own opinions through this experience. And I think there are a lot of people who go through that, and it can be very hard because it's vulnerable to say something like that, to admit it, even to yourself, much less than others. But it's a valid experience, and there are so many spiritual people I know who aren't necessarily religious, who aren't necessarily, you have to believe this and this. Just, bitch, I just need to believe in something today. But they're some of the most amazing people I know.
So I hear this a lot from, and I know this isn't what you're saying specifically, but like I hear from Christians a lot. Mm-hmm. You have to believe in Jesus because I was an addict and I believed in Jesus, and believing in Jesus helped me get clean. I was in prison and Jesus helped me stop being a criminal. I was, beating my wife and Jesus taught me to be a better man, whatever the kind of thing, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I hear the same. Obviously, you're saying something very different here with your personal story, but like the root of it is the same. I had X hard time, so I believed in Y, and now I have Z superior outcome. And at the end of the day, I don't understand how you would necessarily have that belief system be something, as you term it, greater than yourself, rather than having the thing that's greater than yourself be like a good cause or just a good philosophy or the strong desire for a better life. Like, why wouldn't those things?
Maybe for me, I ran out of belief the fact that I could be a part of a good cause or a good cause. I don't know what it was for me that failed to the point where I needed it to be that grandeur. And the only difference I would say is that I wouldn't say you need to believe these things. I would never say that. I think you guys are doing amazing with what you're doing right now with what you believe. You're making it work and you're making a difference. And that's what's important. So I would never say you need to believe. I would say I was this broken and I needed to believe, and I still need to believe so I can keep going. And I guess the fundamental figure out a way to say that without feeling ashamed of it. I'm sorry.
I understand where you're coming from. I do. I think the root, or at least I think I do. The root of what I'm trying to get at here is, could what you are proposing here also be a bad thing? Like, what if the thing that's higher than you or bigger than you or whatever is a cult leader or something that's really shitty, and you latch onto this thing needing something to hang on to, needing something bigger to believe in, and you get in a bad way? And wouldn't you agree that trying like hell to be as objective as possible and to be as logical as possible, even when shit's really hard, would protect you from those things and guarantee that when you find something to believe in, it's not going to leave you as a pawn in somebody else's game, if that makes any sense?
Right. So, I mean, like, you're absolutely right. If you lean on anybody physically, like anybody else besides, I feel as a Christian, one of the most important things we were taught is to pray in the closet, because our relationship is supposed to be that personal. No one else is supposed to be involved but you and God. And that's so you can grow in a better way for you. Like, everyone's path is different. You can't force anyone onto yours or yours onto anyone else's. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. Yeah. I was just going to say that it sounds like you're telling Christians to get in the closet, but I don't know if that's really what you want to be saying.
I'd like to tell them to come out of the closet a little bit if they could, but it's whatever.
That'd be good.
Right? Yeah, no, yeah, I just checked. Yeah, Matthew 6 here. I've got it right here. And yeah, that's the part where it talks about don't pray out on the street corners and with vain repetitions and
Right.
all these things. Go to your closet and pray in private and only say the Lord's Prayer because God already knows what you want. And like, yeah, I get that. So how does that solve the issue that I'm proposing?
I guess it really depends on the person using it. Like whoever is using faith to get better has to be able to, first off, to have enough faith in themselves to not need someone else. And that's a big step, especially when you're talking about being so broken that you need faith. It's a really hard path to balance. And I would love to find a way to talk to other people who believe personally so that we can find a balance to where we're not attacking people who don't or people who believe differently, because I don't think it's fair. I think everyone has a different path to walk. I think everyone's path can be just as beautiful depending on what they do with it. And I personally just want to see people get along better.
So there's only one. I think that generally the view that, just let everybody believe what they believe, I think that that's generally like fine and people can believe what they want to believe, like whatever. But I think that there's a problem if we say, yeah, it's okay to seek out the supernatural or to seek out a power greater than yourself. Because then, like Forrest said, it could encourage people to end up in a cult, and that's certainly not good. And furthermore, if the thing that you end up following, if the thing that you end up devoting yourself to is a bad cause, like if it leads to bad political outcomes or if it leads to, riots in front of people's houses that don't, haven't done anything wrong, I think that that's risky. I think encouraging that kind of thing is risky. That's why, even though I generally take the position that, look, I'm not going to tell you what you should or shouldn't believe, generally beliefs lead to actions. And when those beliefs are not based on something that we can all agree on, those actions can be things that not all of us want to happen.
I can 100% agree with that. And as a believer, it's a struggle I face myself, because as much as I say, oh, I found this great thing, you guys should listen to it, I also realize how quickly, I grew up in the church my whole life. I watched them manipulate it. I watched them use it against each other. And I hate it just as much as I think a lot of other people do. And so I don't know how to fight it while I actively believe these things. And I'm trying to figure that out too. I think the best thing I can do is just, when I see something I'm concerned about, voice, hey, this is wrong. And the other thing I would say is, you can't actively allow yourself to make choices about other people's life if you want to be a believer. You have to decide that this is for you, and this is good for you, but this is only for you, and this is only your path, and you don't have the right to take it away from anyone else. If you're going to believe that God gave us free will, then believe in the free will you say you believe he gave us, and stop trying to modify it to fit your box.
I gotta tell you, if more Christians believed that, we wouldn't need shows like this. But
I know, baby, I know.
Yeah.
Like,
but I'll tell you, like, that's so at the end of the day, I guess where we're at right now is that, like, I still have the same issues with Christianity that I did at the beginning of this call, but you and I agree, I don't have to believe the shit. And you are getting some benefit from this belief system that's giving your life some sort of benefit. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, well, fucking stop it. The thing that I would put out there is that from my perspective, I think that the harm, or at least the risks, definitely outweigh any potential benefits. I think that it takes a lot. You mentioned earlier that no one can take away from me my achievements and whatnot. I think that having that belief system, from my perspective, it diminishes your achievements, or it allows you to diminish them for yourself. And I would hate that, because it sounds like you've been through some shit and you've come out of it. And I think you deserve a lot of praise and a lot of support for that. So I can't. Basically, what I'm saying is, like, I'm in the exact same position as I was at the beginning of this call in terms of, like, where I think Christianity leads and how I think it doesn't help in terms of helping people improve their lives. if it's working for you, awesome. I'm glad to hear you're keeping it more or less to yourself. That's great. I can't give you anything besides I think you deserve more credit. And if you don't want to vibe with that, you don't have to.
Actually, I want to tell you, I understand that position because I said that a lot to other people. And I thank you so much for that. Maybe I do need to hear that more in my life. I don't know. So thank you so much for telling me that, because I really needed to hear it today.
I think you deserve to. And so that's my only thing.
I deserve to hear that your efforts are just as great. And I've watched you guys for a long time, and I constantly use some of the questions you guys have for myself. Like, okay, how do I make this make, even if it's just for me, how do I make this make sense? And I think more believers need to learn to do that. We can't sit comfortably in this stagnant belief. We have to be willing to evolve and change with every single day if it's necessary. And I promise you, I'm struggling to find a way to get my fellow Christians to hear that.
Yeah, that woke liberal Jesus that's really turning a lot of Christians away right now.
I mean, absolutely. Like you just gotta like keep evolving every day. I mean, evolution is indeed a fact. It happens to us every day. You just gotta do it.
I was watching Genetically Modified Skeptic, and he was saying he was doing an interview with somebody. He was saying you can throw more stones from inside of the group than outside of the group. It's going to matter more if you're a part of the group.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that being a part of this group, I can throw enough stones to go, hey guys, cut it out, and just, if it's good for you, good for you. If other people doing good other ways, then you have to recognize that too. And I think that's the beauty of life and of the God we believe in, is that it doesn't take one way, it takes all ways.
Interesting. Well, Opal, I think you're a good person, and I appreciate you calling in. And you and I have very little beef in this scenario.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Blitz, do you have anything else that you want to say to them before we move on?
Keep being a good egg, I guess. And maybe you can bring some other Christians to the good egg side as well. Of course.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I hope you call back sometime and tell us more about just like what your journey is all about. And if you ever want to argue about why God's bad, hit me up. You know where to find me, but I don't think that's really your bag. But like, hey,
actually, we can have some arguments about God sometimes. I promise you. There's sometimes like, bro, fun. Really?
Hey, yo, if you're this sweet and still believing in the God that I hate, you know what I mean? Let's talk sometime. Call back again, and we'll discuss those things. And as of right now, I think if there was a way to be a Christian well, I think you're damn close to doing it. It's if you're really believing in keeping your beliefs personal and helping other people grow in any way that they're going to grow, and just trying to make the world a better place and not trying to push things on people and do all the things that evangelicals do here in America. You from Louisiana, you know what I'm talking about. Like,
I got you.
If you're it sounds like you're a good person, and so like you keep on rocking. Call us back someday, and we'll talk some more. But as for right now, like I said, I think that you deserve a lot of credit for being as good of a person as you are, and I think you and I agree on a lot more than we don't agree on. So I wish you all the best, Opal.
I wish you all the best too. Thank you guys so much, and may the good God I believe in bless you, and may the bad God that you have been presented suck an egg.
Take care, Opal. Bye-bye.
I'll take it.
You too.
They were fun. Yeah, I honestly, it's crazy. We have a lot of people in the secular community. I love saying this whenever I have the chance. We have a lot of people in the secular community that genuinely want every single conversation with every single theist to be incredibly antagonistic and adversarial. And you know what? There's a place for that. There really is. But we got people like Opal who are out here, believing, I would say, the most benign shit I've ever heard, and trying to make the world a little bit better. I've had a Christian as a guest on this show because he had a lot of good shit to say about why you shouldn't spank children, and had a lot of good shit to say about education. I've had a Muslim as a guest on this show because a lot of really good shit to say about human rights law and how to make the world a better place, and why Donald Trump is a cultist, fascist, cult-leading piece of shit. And it was a great conversation. And so, like, yeah, I don't know, man. I love doing these shows. I think they're valuable. I love the premise of these shows. I think that religion is harmful flatly. But holy crap, man, with the world the way that it is right now, we can use some religious friends because there's a lot of them, and we can make this world better together.
Exactly. We're a minority. We could use allies.
Absolutely. And then, you know, we'll kill them all when we rise to power and all these things. I'm noticing as I'm sitting here swiveling, I decluttered a lot of these shelves, and I'm noticing that this little shelf down here with the Pokemon badges has a lot of empty space up here that this shelf over here with the insects and the snakes doesn't have. That's bothering me. I hope everybody else is bothered by it too. I hope it drives you all crazy.
Well, now I am. Why would you do that to me?
Stop staring. Yeah, no, never stops. If you watch, I don't encourage anyone to watch my YouTube videos, but if you ever do, on my right-hand side on the lowest shelf is a DNA molecule, and it spirals backwards. It spirals in the wrong direction. And almost nobody ever notices that. But like maybe twice or three times a year, I get an email from somebody saying, why the fuck is that I'm a molecular biologist and fuck you. And that brings me so much joy, and I just can't stop. I'm never going to change it. It's great.
Oh yeah, of course not. You shouldn't.
Let's talk next to, by the way, we've got one theist and two atheists left on the line at this moment, and that may be the rest that we have for the show. We don't know, but lines are still open. So we've got a few lines open right now. If you're a believer and you want to talk to Sue, you can see we're nice. We're nice. We're kind peoples sometimes. 720-619-2288. Give us a call or use the web link in the description. Tell us what gods you believe in and why we should believe in them too. Let's talk first to Plum, any pronouns, calling in from measurable inches. Aren't they all measurable? That's how we know they're inches.
Sure they are, yeah. That's
what a bizarre.
That's their whole bit.
I don't understand. It's what a weird place to call in from. Who is a theist, who has some things to say about the supernatural and how it doesn't make sense in an observable world. There's a lot in this call screen, and I'm very curious to know what's going on. Plum, you're on the line with Forrest and Blitz. How are you doing today?
Hi there. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
Absolutely.
I'm doing so good. I'm super excited, also super nervous because I'm talking to Forrest Valkai. He's the guy that made me love science, and I feel super honored to be here, able to have a conversation with experts that know so much more than me. And I'm just hoping we can have a talk.
If you know how stupid I am, you would not feel nervous.
Yeah, I just want to have some talks about religion and philosophy and theology and ask some questions and hopefully learn some stuff from you folks.
Sure, let's talk about it.
Oh gosh, I don't know where to start. I put on the call screen, I said I'm comfortable being a believer in a God of the gaps because I think that's an interesting place to start. I love science and I love learning how the world works, and I'm so excited for the human race and for the scientific community learning more and more stuff. But I also have some really strong convictions that I don't quite know how to level with total naturalism, I guess, as a way to say it. And I want to talk about how you reconcile with some of the philosophical suppositions we make when you don't, if you're a naturalist, or how the naturalist would think of it, if that makes any sense.
Like what?
A really good example I have written down that I'd love to talk about is, if you do, how do you reconcile the logic of thinking that a human is special? Like, take a star, for example. This is one of the things I think of a lot. Stars and humans are both physical objects in the universe. They have complex systems of energy and matter transfer going through them. What makes you think that a human is special and important? Because I have really strong convictions that I don't think come from science, if that makes sense, or at least don't come from a scientific understanding, and I find it really hard to reconcile, because I don't think of myself as a naturalist, and I don't think of everything in naturalistic terms. And I just want to hear what you think of it.
Sure. I'll go first, and then we'll go to Blitz and see what it is really quickly. Yeah. I don't think humans are special. Blitz, what do you think?
I do think humans are no. So look,
Son of a
in
bitch.
some sense, humans are special. Yeah, they're right. In some sense, humans are special because we're rare. Stars are pretty common, as far as we can tell. Humans are stuck on one planet, and the universe is a big place, so maybe that makes us special. But more than that, you might think that humans are special because if you didn't think humans are special, then the ones who did think humans were special would have, walked over and stabbed you with a spear, and you'd be like, there's not a big loss to the universe if I'm gone. Who cares? And then you would have died out, and everybody else who thought humans were special would still be here.
That is really interesting.
Yeah, I don't think that they're special at all. I think that nothing is special. I think that the concept of specialness and meaning and all these things are just constructs that we make up to try to deal with life in a meaningless universe. And at the end of the day, the meaning of life is whatever we mean it, and the meaning of humanity is whatever we decide. And in terms of anybody being special, that is not an objective thing. And as far as humans in particular being special, I think that we have some special qualities and do some special things that no other animals do, but really all there's nothing that we do that no other animals do. We just do certain things a lot more than other animals do. Like things like pondering and carrying across time and space and weird art, like things like that. So for me, that's kind of where I'm at with it. Is we're interesting, we're unique, more or less. I can apply moral statements to things to say, like, I have a universal moral principle, say, for example, of bodily autonomy for humans that I certainly don't have in the same way for other animals or plants or any other living thing. But like that has more to do with consciousness that I would apply that to, and like level of like potential suffering and level of understanding and blah blah blah, and that gets real technical and philosophical real fast, and I am not a philosopher, but overall I would just say in summary, I don't have any reason to call us special right off the jump. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it absolutely does. And I'd like to say, from my perspective, a lot of the reason that I think that humans are important, and the reason I have a lot of humanitarian ideas and beliefs, comes from some convictions that I have about the importance of humans and the fulfillment of human life. And it sounds like you folks also have a ton of humanitarian ideas and a really, really strong belief in making the world a better place through respecting humans and human rights and different human identities and presentations and all kinds of things like that. Where does it come from for you? It sounds like it comes from somewhere different than me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, look, I typically answer this question by appealing to, some sort of like social behavior that humans have. Like, we thrive because of the communities that we're in. And so whether or not we choose this, whether or not this is because we are genuinely special because there's a divine being that created us specially, or because it was an evolutionarily advantageous path, we are hardwired to care about other humans. And as far as I see, I do things that I care about, and one of those things is human. That did not come out right. Forrest, do you want to talk about biology?
Yeah. So yeah, we are definitely evolutionarily predisposed to care more about humans than other things. And I try to avoid that kind of like, well, I'm wired that way whenever I'm talking about it. But like, it is the truth. You're absolutely right. And the honest reality is that you can point to any mammal and they're going to do that kind of shit. They're going to care more about their own species. And they're going to care even more about their own family. Now I can get into some neat psychological things here and talk about how we have found that that's a thing that humans do too, but we're super capable of defining family and defining in-group and all this stuff however the hell we want, and how we're really good at kind of redrawing these lines, and that's where you get all sorts of good things from really tight-knit communities that take care of each other, and really bad things like racism. You get both sides of that through the tribalism that humans are really, really good at doing. Again, evolutionarily. But what I think is more important in terms of like where I get these things is that I can identify, like, I can use my understanding of biomedical sciences. I can use my understanding of psychology. I can use my understanding of nutrition and health and all these things to make objective statements about what will cause humans to flourish and thrive and benefit and be happy, and what will make them deteriorate and be harmed and die weirdly and like all these things. And so as I am a person also in this world, and I also think and experience and feel and smell and taste and touch and hear and see and understand and all these different things, I know what it feels like to hurt and to suffer and to be sad and all these things. And I don't want anybody else to feel that way. And so I can make objective statements about what is, to use the word, moral, based on that understanding of human health and well-being. And I can then elevate myself to universal moral principles. So rather than, you've probably heard, if you've listened to me quite a bit, you've probably heard me talk about like different levels of morality. The lowest levels of morality are, master told me to do this and I don't want to get hurt and I do want a cookie, and so I'm going to do these things. And then a little bit higher than that is society is doing this. This is the norm. This is the tradition. This is what I've been told to do by my peers. I don't want to be ostracized. And then when you really get up into upper level morality, you're talking about, here is a universal moral principle that I can apply to all sorts of situations. And take, for example, I talked about bodily autonomy. I can now talk about rape, murder, abortion, all sorts of concepts from this root thing of bodily autonomy. I have a set moral principle that humans have the right to decide what happens to their body. And therefore, I can now talk about a wide range of things and never once fall back on because it feels right. You know what I mean? So that's where my morality and where all that stuff comes from for me. That's why I do what I do as a career and why I do shows like this, is because I have universal set moral principles based on the best understanding that I have of human health and well-being and how we as a species can thrive and survive and move on to the next levels of being spacefaring and intergalactic and all these great goals that would make human life better and better and better and better. And that's all I want to do. I want to use my little time on this planet to make everybody else's little bit of time just a little bit better. And that's the soapbox.
Thank you so much for telling me what you thought about that. That was just kind of a burning question that the conversation got onto. But to circle back to what I called about is that I do believe in some level of supernatural things in the universe, or maybe outside of the universe, but I don't think they happen within what we have naturalistic explanations of. I don't think that lightning is magic. I don't think the world is 6,000 years old, etc. But I do think that maybe there is what you would probably call magic in some of the most mysterious things about the universe. And I'm comfortable with the fact that as we learn more and more, that the place, at least, for that supernatural thing is going to shrink and shrink. Just the classic God of the Gaps situation. And so I just like to hear what you think about that.
Yeah, so Plum, the trouble is, I mean, if you're not a scientist, if you're not working in the field, that's a totally fine thing to think. It's not going to hurt anybody if you think that, like, dark energy is like God making the universe get bigger or whatever it might be, right? That's not going to hurt anybody. But the point is if this view is advocated for as being like acceptable, what this means is that you'll have fewer people who are interested in looking for an explanation because they think that the explanation is the supernatural. And if that's the case, then you might be like, yeah, it's super cool when that gap gets smaller. But if the people who would have otherwise been looking to try to close the gap think that the gap exists, they wouldn't end up looking for it, and the gap won't get smaller. So really, even if it is the case, even if somehow it were the case that the supernatural exists, and we just don't know how big it is, you still need people who don't think it exists who are looking to explain it. Otherwise, that gap will never change size.
That's interesting. I'd never thought of it that way because I always thought in the exact opposite direction, that the mysteriousness of the universe is what drives me to be so interested in it and to want to learn more and to want to support and purport science whenever I can. But I do see what you're saying. That idea en masse can cause societal ramifications.
I mean, it's more that, my understanding of the God of the Gaps business is that it's something like look, we understand a lot of the world today. We understand that lightning is caused by, antimatter and clouds, which is interesting, by the way. We understand that, like black holes exist and they form via supernova. We understand all these really complicated things, but there's all this everything else that we don't understand. Actually, the explanation is a divine being. And if that's your position, then you already have an explanation. There's no room to go look for the explanation because you already know what it is. And so maybe that's not the position you hold. Maybe you're like, oh, well, there are things that are unexplained and therefore maybe it's magic, but we should go check. But I don't know. It just seems like if you're leading, okay, so if that's your position, maybe that's totally fine. But it just seems like this leads to the, well, if it's maybe magic, then maybe it's not worth checking.
Oh, I see. I see what you're saying. Do you think it helps if a person like me says that or sort of clarifies that in my thinking, or if I ever communicate what I'm thinking, that there are these mysteries and I do think there could be supernatural things, or maybe I believe in supernatural things and that's why I want to know more?
Probably, at least to some, that's at least better.
Yeah, my issue is like you're saying you're acknowledging that science is going to prove that the things you believe are magic aren't magic, and yet you're still believing that they're magic. And I don't understand how you can get away with that in your head. Like 300 years ago, what other things would you have believed are magic that you don't believe are magic today? And can you put yourself in those shoes for a minute and look at the world around you, and you're like, fuck, I don't know what this computer is. How are you talking to me right now? That's magic. Where does all life come from? And how does it get into different forms? That's magic. Like there's so much stuff that you have now sacrificed that you rely on every day. You don't get vaccines. You don't get airplanes. You don't get computers. You don't get space travel. You don't get antibiotics. You don't get so much stuff. And you're saying like, yeah, I'm comfortable there though. But I'm going to benefit from all the people who aren't comfortable there. And I just don't understand why you would put yourself in that box. And I don't understand why you would limit yourself that way. I don't understand why you would commit a fallacy on purpose.
I see what you mean. And that is really hard to argue with. One thing I thought of as I was trying to word my ideas before I called is that I am comfortable with the idea that what I think of as supernatural could be completely explained. If in my lifetime, somehow, by some miracle, we figured out everything, figured out the naturalistic process for everything, and science was done, and we finished it, I don't think I would believe in anything supernatural. I don't think I would hold on to that.
Yeah, so here's the thing. I don't think that it's reasonable to say there is for sure no supernatural thing. I think you can hold on hope for the supernatural and be like, hey, maybe someday I'll find a cool supernatural thing. It'll be tight. We'll have tacos about it. Whatever. That's fine. But like, if you just wait until you have an evidence for a supernatural thing to believe in a supernatural thing, you will be doing literally exactly the same thing that Blitz and I are doing every single day, which is taking the world as it is and believing in things that we have reason to believe in and not believing in things that we don't have reason to believe in. And you'll have the same hope, and you'll have the same interest, and you'll have the same intrigue, and you'll have the same curiosity, and you'll have the same desire to learn, and the world will be just as beautiful and wonderful and maybe even magical, but you won't say that because you don't know that for sure. And I don't see any downside to that, but I see innumerable upsides. Do you think that's fair, or do you think that you understand something about this that I don't?
No, I think you understand what I think very well, and I think that's a really good point. And I don't have anything else to say, really. I just wanted to get your perspective on that weird, murky, philosophical stuff, and your perspective on different systems of thinking about this nuanced things. That's it, really.
Right on. Well, I appreciate you calling in and talking to us. It's been a lot of fun. I hope you have an awesome rest of your day. Call us back sometime if you want to hash out anything else.
All right. Thank you so much. It's incredible that you folks make yourselves available to me and to other people. Just thank you. And keep doing what you're doing.
Don't tell me what to do. Bye!
Get wrecked. I have to clarify something. So I definitely said lightning is caused by antimatter. It's not that simple.
You did, and I wrote it down, and I was going to ask you.
So it's not. Look. So actually, the initial cause of lightning is still not super understood. There are some ideas where you have cosmic rays, which can be antimatter, causing like kind of like a nucleation event where you have a separation of charge and you have a path of where you can have an electric discharge happening in clouds. That's one proposed explanation for lightning. It might also be that there's like static, like kind of like a rubbing thing happening. There's a type of ice crystal that can like move up and down, and that can cause. So it's actually not super clear. But what is definitely true is antimatter has been observed antimatter has been observed in conjunction with lightning strikes. In fact, these can be seen from space with gamma ray telescopes. So it might not be the case. Like, it's still not super clear that antimatter causes lightning, but it definitely seems to sometimes be involved, and some of the best ideas involve cosmic rays, which can be antimatter.
I have a series of questions, but I want to start by pointing out, while I was holding up this board, I did write why commit a fallacy on purpose, only I wrote why commit a fallacy on porpoise, and nobody else had to know that but me, but I wanted people to know. The second thing is, okay, so like the way that I was taught, and I'm going to use the wrong words because I'm not a fucking physicist, all right? Just hear me out, all right? Is that the way that lightning happened is that you had a lot of things, a lot of water molecules and whatnot, rubbing against each other in clouds. When you get that friction, that creates ions. You have ionization there, the same way as rubbing a balloon on your hair. You move a lot of electrons from your hair to the balloon. You end up with a negatively charged balloon and positively charged hair, or vice versa. And so your hair stands on end reaching to the balloon because it's trying to equalize that charge, because Coulomb's law. And so you have all this friction in the cloud creating an ionic I would call it, I know the word fractionation for like isotopes. I don't think that counts, like ionic fractionation. And you have the ground being more positively or negatively charged than the cloud is. And so you have all these ions from the cloud all the way to the ground now come into perfect alignment, bazoop, and so you have this massive electron change, and it happens at the speed of light, and that's what lightning is. Is that wrong?
Well, so all of that explains why you have an electric field buildup. Absolutely, it's like this friction stuff, like things rubbing up against each other, ions and all this. So you have an electric field buildup. But the question is what triggers the cascade? What triggers the actual dumping of energy when it happens? Why does it happen? Where it happens? When it happens? How does it happen? And so, like, in the same way that you can like put a water bottle, the same way that you can put a water bottle in the freezer and it won't freeze until you smack it, you can trigger a nucleation event. Somehow, we need to explain why it is the case that there's like this spontaneous breakdown at a certain place. And so, one of the ideas is that you have particles from space which come and blast through a whole bunch of different ions, and you end up nucleating around some part of this chain. And in doing so, you produce antimatter. Sometimes the cosmic ray is antimatter that can trigger this. What's been demonstrated, and this is actually quite recent, I ended up making a video about it a while ago. What's been demonstrated is that there seems to be a high correlation between lightning strikes and cosmic ray showers. So you have cosmic rays coming from outer space, and they bump into our atmosphere, and they basically produce a whole bunch of other subatomic particles in their wake as they're coming down. They're bumping into stuff, exploding stuff. It's a whole energetic process, and you get like a shower of subatomic particles. And the question then is, why is it that these two things are happening at the same time? It seems like the cosmic rays are the things causing it, but there are other reasons to think that this isn't the case, at least not always. So it's just not clear what the trigger is. Definitely the question of friction is what establishes the electric field gradient and all of that.
So I have a Van de Graaff generator in my closet right here. Mm-hmm. And if I'm cranking that guy, it's that exact same principle of like the friction on the band creating a positive electrode, and you have a cathode that comes down, and like there's no cosmic rays involved in that.
There are cosmic rays everywhere, for what it's worth.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about like in this case, or am I wrong? Is that the same fucking thing? Because these are such tiny particles that we can have that kind of manipulation here in Oklahoma at ground level.
Yeah. So the phenomenon of of lightning, as far as I understand, and I'm not an atmospheric scientist, but this is something I've looked into a bit. I mean, surely there's some qualities that are the same, but they're definitely not. They can't be caused by the same thing because you're not going to see a gamma ray flash from a Van de Graaff generator.
Okay, this is probably a stupid question, but just like I want to. So, is that qualitative difference just scale? Because I wonder if lightning is. I know for sure the reason. Okay, the reason we get the sound of thunder is because it superheats the air, blasts it the fuck apart, ends with a partial vacuum, and it claps back together. And that's the sound of the thunder is the air clapping together as you have this massive temperature change, right?
I mean, yeah, that's roughly it.
Okay, cool. So that I don't get that same kind of thing, or at least not on the same scale with a Van de Graaff generator. I get little clicks, right? And so I'm wondering if that massive scale, this is probably stupid. I'm not a fucking physicist, but like, does it make sense to say that much energy and that much heat is more than ionizing the matter around it? It is actually creating plasma. It's blowing these atoms apart into subatomic particles and maybe even breaking them down further from that and releasing matter-antimatter pairs. And that is why, similar to what we see in like hadron colliders and shit, or particle colliders and shit, when you smash something and shit comes, right? Maybe that is why antimatter is associated with this, because it's a product rather than a precursor.
I mean,
or it might completely off base.
So it could be. This is one of those things where it's just like it as far as we know, and again, not exactly my field, but I've looked into it. As far as we know, there's none of the explanations that we can offer really explain all of the observations. And so people have put forward some strange ideas. The reason why, for example, this new data that we have, this is fairly recent. This is like a few months ago. The new study that I'm talking about, what they're observing is they're actually observing cosmic ray showers simultaneous with lightning. Like this is the thing, and the cosmic rays are directional. You can tell what direction they're going in. They're coming from space. So it's not the lightning causing them. Now, it could be that this is a cause or a trigger for some lightning, and that's what's causing the breakdown, but perhaps not all, and perhaps there's a more mundane explanation. But this is at least something that has been observed. I suspect that it's not cosmic rays that trigger dielectric breakdown. That's what the Van de Graaff generator is doing in all cases. Because the Van de Graaff generator, you could probably do it deep underground and it would probably still work.
So cosmic rays in this case, it's like cloud seeding almost. It's like the cloud seeding.
That's the idea, roughly.
Rather than for rain, it's like when the meteorologist students shoot up a little rocket with a wire attached to it and makes lightning right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's basically that. It basically produces a trail of ions through the cloud.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's part of the explanation.
I saw this demonstration once where somebody had these like little magnetic balls in a petri dish, and they were applying opposite electrical charges to one ball on each side of the dish. And at a certain point, they would just kind of like magnetically attract another one, and then these two would kind of start to line up, and they just slowly connected together until the second they connected, you saw a little bolt of electricity shoot through them, and like that. That's how I pictured it for so long. So thinking about this as like, maybe something kind of bumps that first ball into arrangement or something like that. Like getting that together, it makes sense. It's way above my pay grade as a biologist.
And I mean, so this is the kind of physics that's like super important, right? Because knowing what causes lightning, well, that matters. That matters. Like lightning can be damaging to aircraft. It can be damaging to building. People get electrocuted. Like that matters. So knowing the cause of these things, that's the kind of thing that can matter. And so more people should fund physics, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that'd be tight.
And biology too, really,
I guess. I mean, only if you want medicine. I want to throw out there really quick to any, just in case we have any creationists or whatever. What we get calls all the time from people talking about how they can prove science wrong and this and that, and they can tell us some new unified theory that explains God in a way that I just want you to listen to that conversation, even if you don't care about lightning, because you don't have to listen to the thing about lightning. I want you to pay attention to the fact that both Blitz and I every single fucking sentence was housed in, this is not my area of expertise. I don't know about this, but here's the limits of my knowledge on that. And here's what I think I'm seeing. And does this make sense? Does that make sense? If you can't speak that way, if you're coming in saying, hey, all science is wrong and I can prove it because I think I know this thing and I think I know, you're blowing it. That take notes from that conversation, please. Man. We also do have some lines open. I saw a couple of people in the chat asking if lines still open. We do. We have 2 atheists left. So we're going to go ahead and leave lines open while we take them. And if a theist calls in, great. If not, then that'll be the last 2 calls. Let's talk to M. This may be a very short call. We're going to talk to M, pronouns they, them, calling in from Israel, who is an atheist, who wants to know, is it possible to talk about eugenics and ableism being wrong from a biological perspective? Very yes. Let's talk about why. M, you're on the line with Forrest and Blitz. How are you?
Hi. I'm good. I'm nervous. And it's 3:30 in the morning, so...
Oh, wow. Well, thank you for staying up so late. I got to ask, like, this is a rough question. Because yes, there very are ways.
I had a really
where you're coming from
conversation with someone who talked to me about, like, he understands why I object to eugenics from, like, a moral and ethical perspective, but doesn't have merit from a biological perspective. And I managed to get through the racism part because, like, diversity and what it's like, it's good for genetics, basically. But the ableism part, I'm disabled, so I felt like I wasn't able to justify my own existence. Like, it was kind of really uncomfortable.
This is the context I need, because I want to hear where you're coming from with this. Because if I'm going to be honest, if the call had been, well, I can't think of a good reason to not just kill all the black people, there would have been a very different conversation. I wanted to hear where we were starting.
Yeah. No.
All right. So you had a conversation with your friend about this, and it's
no longer a friend.
Conversation to have. Do you have any biology training?
Not really. I listen to biologists talk sometimes because it's interesting, but I didn't do any, like, higher studies. So
that's fine. I'm only asking so I know at what, like, where to speak and what level to start at.
Thank you.
So, Blitz, is it okay if I just kind of run away with this for a second? You cool with that?
Yeah.
Sweet. So the thing about this is what you're talking about with eugenics and ableism and all this stuff when we talk about with biology, it is a leftover of a thing called social Darwinism, which is this idea, this thoroughly debunked pseudoscientific idea that Nazis use and the Confederates use and all sorts of other assholes have used. Maybe not the Confederates proper, but, like, the leftovers. This scum that's still on the bottom of America's shoe. They have this idea that, okay, well, if natural selection is survival of the fittest, and that, if we, as the weak die and the strong survive, then the species gets better and better. Well, then let's look for all these undesirable traits in humans, like whatever disability or whatever it is, or whatever, and we're going to purge those in the population, either by killing them or just not allowing them to reproduce. And eventually we'll have this perfect, new species to take control of. And we basically do artificial selection, the way that we deliberately breed plants and pigs on humans. And there's a few reasons why that's dumb as all hell. Number one is that if you pay attention, it's similar to when people say that they know what God wants, and it always happens to be exactly what they want to. Whenever a eugenicist or a social Darwinist or whatever talks about what they should be, we should be purging from the species, it always happens to be the exact things that they find undesirable. It happens to be the type of people that they specifically don't put value in. And by doing so, they miss out on the fact that, say, for example, people like you who are disabled are not useless. You are still capable of leading very productive, very beneficial lives for the rest of society. And even if you didn't directly benefit society in any way, you're still a person who can have opinions and ideas and morals and beliefs and thoughts, and those can benefit humanity in a lot of ways. And even if you absolutely had zero benefit to anybody else at all, it benefits humanity for us to be human and not judge your right to life on your productivity. That's Nazi shit. So all of that is just the first part of it. The second part of it, from a purely biological perspective, from like a really cold, hard science perspective, when we try to do artificial selection on anything, there is always unintended consequences because we are not really fucking good at genetics yet. There's a lot that we don't know. And so, say, for example, when we domesticate just about any animal, cows, pigs, dogs, horses, you name it, they tend to get some very similar characteristics, which is waggy tails, floppy ears, and spotted coats. And we don't fucking know why. Those are associated with docile, domesticated behaviors, but they are. And sure enough, if you try to do that with humans, well, a couple of things are going to happen. Number one, you're going to further reduce the genetic variation, the genetic variety that we have. We are already a laughably inbred species. There is significantly lower genetic diversity among the two most distantly related humans you can possibly find than any two random chimpanzees, right? So you're already at risk now of reducing that genetic diversity even farther. And in fact, you're not at risk of that by definition. That is what you are trying to do, which is going to cause a lot of problems. But also, you are limiting the possibilities for humans in the future because you're limiting, say, for example, the opportunity for heterozygotic advantage. Here's what that means. Take, for example, sickle cell anemia, right? Sickle cell anemia, your blood cells are shaped like little donuts. Your red blood cells are shaped like little donuts. And that is controlled by a single gene. One single point mutation in that gene causes those donut-shaped cells to be shaped like little half moons instead. And as a result, they get stuck together and glummed up, and they clog your blood vessels, and they cause extreme pain and all sorts of other things. They're a really nasty thing. So sickle cell anemia is when you have two copies of this recessive allele that causes this thing. So a eugenicist comes along and says, all right, well, fuck them. We'll get rid of everybody who has this allele, and we'll have no more of this allele. We'll all have just the perfect, red blood cell allele. The problem is, if you have two of these recessive alleles, you have sickle cell anemia. If you have just one of them, if you're heterozygotic, you don't have sickle cell anemia, but you do have a significant resistance to malaria. You are way better at not getting malaria if you have this. And so this is an advantage of having at least one, just exactly one copy of this harmful trait. It's actually better. It's kind of, you can liken it to drinking alcohol. If you drink 2 shots of tequila, you're going to have a bad time. You have 1 shot of tequila, you're a great dancer, right? And so it's a similar situation here. So I could go on and on and on about this, but the long and short of it is that it is arbitrary. It is politically and socially minded. It is Nazi shit, and it is inevitably more harmful than it could ever be beneficial. And at the end of the day, it's just not worth anybody's time to use objective science for a subjective political purpose just because you have particular beliefs that are based on whatever dumb fucking thing you grew up with, that tell you that some humans are more valuable than other humans. There's just no redeeming qualities to the philosophy at all, and I don't understand why it still exists. Does that answer your question, Em?
Yes, thank you so much. And I wanted to thank you in general, like the show and everyone, for still talking about Gaza and about Palestine, because it's really disheartening to have like a genocide happening right next door to me and feeling like the world forgot. So when I see people still talking about it, we need the international pressure. Like it's necessary. So thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Hey, it's my pleasure. And it's especially here in America, we're on the other side of the world, and politics moves so fast here, and everything is so sensationalized here. We're currently talking about whether or not we should be investigating pedophiles. that's the major topic of discussion in the United States today, is whether or not the Epstein list exists. So no, I appreciate you saying that, and it is my legitimate. It's a weird way to say the word. It's my pleasure, but it is my honor to continue saying, that continue drawing attention to the genocide. So thank you very much for that. It's very kind of you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Take care. Bye bye. I gotta tell you, that caller, 100% different than what I thought. 180 degrees different than what I thought that was going to be. So it's like, fuck, man. Can you please explain to me why eugenics is bad? And then we end on free Palestine. Hell yeah. That's great.
Maybe I just read it right. But like I got the implication that they were like, look, I'm an atheist. I believe that it's bad, but somebody questioned it and I didn't have a good answer for them. Which I can understand asking that question. Seems totally reasonable.
Yeah, you got more hope than I do. Whoa.
It's that optimism.
Thank you, M, for being so much cooler than I thought you were going to be. I am so happy.
Thank you, M, for being exactly as cool as I thought you were going to be.
For real. Hey, let's take this call really quick because I just want to hear it. We got Misty Nipples, pronoun she, her, who is a massive supporter and longtime donor of the line. And he has a question for Blitz. Misty Nipples, you're on the line with Forrest and Blitz, but mostly Blitz. How are you?
I'm good. So glad to be here.
I'm happy to have you here because I've been asking the same question you're about to ask for a minute in my head, and I was going to save it for the end of the show, but I'm excited you're here.
Oh God, this is going to be hard, isn't it?
It felt like a dumb question, but I finally have a question to ask the line. What are the triangles, and what is this formula or equation in your background, Dr. Blitz?
Okay, so
I'm dumb and I don't know.
No, it's okay. So there's a story. So when I first started my TikTok account, which is how I got started doing all of this stuff, I was looking for some sort of logo for your user profile picture. And I was just finishing grad school. I was just finishing my PhD, and I'm like, I want something kind of like mathy, kind of physicsy. And I looked through my camera, the camera thing where all of your pictures that you took are, and I realized, hey, whenever I'm working at the blackboard with my PhD advisor, I always take a picture rather than taking notes, because who wants to take notes, right? So you just take a picture of the blackboard and then you erase it. And so I just had all these great pictures. I'm like, that looks like a good mathy background. So to answer your question, this has become kind of a signature background. I use it in all of the, or in many of the debates that I do, live streams and stuff like this, if only because it's recognizable and it fits well with the green screen. Now, what the actual symbols are, what you're seeing behind me is a calculation involving differential geometry. So we're talking about studying like the curvature of spaces, and the triangle in particular, somewhere, all of these triangles here, the ones that are kind of upside down, those in some sense denote derivatives or changes, whereas the upright triangles, those denote second derivatives or accelerations. And then all of these other letters, like E is here. E was just a name for a particular object. This P here is called the Schouten tensor. That's an equal sign. That's the Riemann curvature tensor. There's some symbols here. It's not nonsense. It's just a photograph of some scrap work, basically.
I knew the triangle meant change, but only the direct upright triangle, because that's a delta, right? That's the only one that I had.
So it's not a delta in biology sense.
Oh, well, fuck. And directly over you've got WAPB, and I'm like, that's lead from Washington. It's Washington lead. That's what that must be. There's no other way that could be anything else.
It is what it is it's incredibly sloppy notation for a particularly complex object that, scratch work, so you can be sloppy.
Yeah.
And my simple brain was thinking of a rap song with a B at the end.
That's fair. Yeah, so actually what happened is that W here is a type of, it's a way of measuring the curvature of a type of space-time. And what we did is we took this P here, and we stuck it into the W, and that's why it's little.
Those are words. Those are words.
Those are words. But I appreciate you guys taking my call. I don't want to take up any more of your time. It's just I finally had a question, and I got to ask it. So I appreciate you guys, and of course, love the line.
I appreciate you
Thanks for
calling.
being
I have
here.
the same questions. Take care, Misty Nipples.
What
All
a great
right, bye.
name.
Bye.
An excellent name indeed.
Yeah, she is a longtime supporter, and every time we do a fundraiser, she donates thousands and thousands of dollars to like try to help just people all around the world. Incredibly cool.
What a good person.
Incredibly cool person. Seriously, and just rich as all hell, apparently.
Yeah, right? Like, imagine having that much spare income that you can donate that much.
I dream of being as cool as Misty Nipples someday in more ways than one. I wish someday that my nipples will be as misty. We've got one more call left, and it's from another atheist who's been on the line for 2 hours. And so we're going to take this last call, but we're leaving the line open if any more theists, because we only took a couple of theist calls, and frankly, we didn't really get any serious conversation. So we're going to leave the lines open for theists, but if this is a chill show where we just have pleasant callers the whole time, no problem. I no issue with that.
Will complain.
Let's talk to Alice, pronoun she, her, calling in from gregarious Alaskans.
You had one choice. You had one choice and you went with another state?
I don't know, man. I feel like I usually go with aardvarks or anteaters or arthropods or artiodactyls or whatever. But I feel like those Alaskans, they're there for you, when you need them to be. They're in the cold, frozen north. They got to be kind to each other, warm each other with the warmth of your hearts. And dicks. Alice, who wants to ask questions about conspiracy theories. Alice, you are on the line with Forrest and Blitz. How are you doing today?
I'm fine. How are you guys?
Hey, okay.
I was really hoping you were going to say arachnids instead of Alaskans.
Damn it. Well, they can be gangrenous arachnids. How about that?
Oh, thank you. I like that.
Some hideous times. So you had questions about conspiracy theories and whether or not they are falsifiable.
Yeah, I was arguing with this person. I was explaining solipsism, and when I got to the phrase brain in the vat, they said, oh, that's a conspiracy theory. And I said, well, no, that's a philosophical viewpoint, and it's not falsifiable, but conspiracy theories are. And then I thought, wait a minute, I don't know if that's true or not. But it seems like most of them are. So what do you all think?
So I've talked with a lot of conspiracy theorists, probably more than it's healthy to do. And in principle, a conspiracy theory should be falsifiable, right? If somebody says that, I don't know, that there was another shooter on the grassy knoll or something like that, or says that there are lizard people who live 100 feet under Columbus, Ohio, these are things that you could in principle test. You could go look for like footprints on the grassy knoll that have been like preserved by the dirt, or you could go dig a hole under Columbus, Ohio, and look for these lizard people. But invariably, when you talk to somebody who actually believes these things, the way that they think about them are absolutely not falsifiable. So what will happen is they'll say, the moon landing didn't happen because because the rocks are fake. And then you go and you say, oh, well, we can actually just check whether the rocks are real, and we can compare them using spectroscopy. And they say, but the spectroscopic instruments were made by NASA, and NASA is filled with Rothschild. So like any attempt at falsification that turns up contrary to their view will just be dismissed as another part of the conspiracy. On the other hand, if you ever do find something that does confirm their view, they'll latch onto it immediately, even though it's the same quality of evidence.
Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about people automatically refuting anything that you say. This person I was talking to refuted everything I said, and I wish I'd had you guys, specifically Aaron Adair and Eric Gibbon, because some of the questions we were talking about, I was ready to throttle the guy by the end of the conversation. For one, here's a couple more questions. I do want to say this real fast, but I said, in the scientific world, we go by consensus, not argument from authority, but consensus from all the people who study this. And they came back with, well, Nazi Germany had a consensus about killing the Jews, and I don't argue well on my feet. And so I did not know how to respond to that, but I knew it was bullshit.
So generally speaking, consensus is a great tool because if you're not an expert in something, then you are more likely to be wrong about it than the scientific consensus is to be. But I think everybody is an expert in recognizing that gassing an entire people group is wrong. So you don't have to appeal to consensus for that because you can be an expert in it yourself.
Right.
Oh, that's great. I've got one more question.
Also, I would throw out there that like the Nazi, they didn't have a consensus. They had a consent as far as like their views of biology and inferior races and all that shit. They did not have a consensus. They literally murdered all of the scientists that were telling them why they were wrong while they were getting started. And the rest of the world scientists were all in the same understanding that that was fucking wrong the entire time. Nobody was ever on any other page besides the fact that they're fucking stupid, and the Nazis just killed all the people that disagreed with them that they were able to kill. So no, they did not have a consensus anyway, even scientifically.
I think he was, this person was equating all consensuses as being equal.
just group think. Exactly. And like that's the difference is like it's really important to separate that and point out the fact that when we talk about, like, say, for example, evolution isn't a worldview, right? I'm not basing, anything on it. It is literally, here's what the data shows. The data points in this direction. Therefore, this is what we're going to say is real. And everybody agrees on that. People of different faiths, different political ideologies, different backgrounds, different economic thoughts, every different school of thought can look at the same data and come to the same conclusion. That's why it makes sense. And so, like, the consensus in terms of like political worldview or groupthink or anything like that, it's simply not appropriate to try to apply that to the way science works.
Well, I think groupthink is the word that I wanted, or the phrase that I wanted. One more thing real quick.
It's yours.
This person was saying that he could only believe things that he saw with his eyes. And I said, our senses are not valuable. They're unreliable, and that's why we formulate tools. And then he said, yes, but then we have to look at the tools or view the tools, whatever, with our senses. And I didn't know how to respond to that, but I knew that his argument was bullshit.
I mean, so in some sense, like, it's absolutely true that at the end of the day, we do rely on our senses. But you have to recognize that our senses aren't perfect. So that's why you test, that's why you try to get your measurements, whether you're using tools or just using your eyes, you try to get your measurements from as many different possible sources to eliminate as much cognitive bias or eliminate as much bias as you can. So you have 1,000 people all look at the same set of data. And then if they all agree that the data says the thing, then it's probably not a sense error.
Yeah, you can liken it to, radiometric dating, for example. If we're trying to date something and figure out how old this fossil or whatever it is, we're not just going to come at it and be like, well, the carbon says this, because it's probably not going to work because it's a fucking fossil anyway, right? Because you have 50,000 years on that shit. We're going to say, okay, so there's potassium and there's argon and there's the potassium argon and then argon and then there's uranium lead, and like there's all these different types of radioisotopes that decay at particular rates, and all those decay rates, they overlap all their boundaries. And so we're going to try 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 of them, and also throw on faunal dating, comparing it to the fossil record, and also throw on cultural dating if that's applicable. What kind of things are we finding in the dirt there? And also throw on dendrochronology if that's applicable. What are the trees telling us how old this thing is? And also throw on fission track dating. When uranium splits, it leaves these little marks, these little tracks and crystals that we can then calculate. And we'll throw on electromagnetic resonance dating or electron spin resonance dating. And we'll also throw on, what's the other one? Thermoluminescence dating, where you get something hot and see what kind of shit comes out of it. Like all these different things. We'll do several different dating methods that all overlap to the same thing. And that's what gives you those error bars when we say this thing is 200 million years old, give or take 5 million years, because that's where all these things were pointing to at the same time. And so exactly like what Dr. Blitz is saying here is like, it's not just, I think it's this, and you write that down, and all the other scientists go, yep, it's that. He said it's that. That's what it is. It's that. It's a lot of people, a lot of different people using a lot of different instruments and a lot of different techniques to all come to the same conclusion, and only at that point do we move forward with that idea.
Well, I knew you guys would be able to answer my questions. See, I feel like I went to a gunfight with a nice strong little pistol, and my opponent had a howitzer, and he just kept blowing me away, and it drove me crazy. But
the
yeah,
strength
really
of an argument doesn't necessarily tell you anything about how good it is. You know what I mean?
No kidding. No, I had the line arguments. I was coming at him with everything I've been learning from you guys, but he just he kept twisting my words on me for one thing. But you guys have been a great help. I just have one more question. Forrest, are you really Tommy? Are you really Tommy on the show? Because I thought you were trying to hide.
You may never know.
All right. Well,
the world may never know.
Oh, goodness. Well, I'm going to tell the world that it's possible I just talked to Tommy Valkai.
That's the
anyway,
thing.
Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it.
It's not me. Take care, Alice. Bye-bye.
You're going to have to delete the VOD because you can't have people knowing that.
Hey, I never confess to anything, nor will I.
That's exactly what Tommy would say.
Know shit. Yes. Because Tommy is smart, whoever he is, wherever he is. What a fucking show. It's chill. A chill show.
Yeah. I feel like that happened last time.
Yeah. I'm all right with it. No complaints.
I think last time wasn't there the ghost guy?
I can't remember. I don't know.
So long ago.
Like in the background, we've been talking in the producer chat over here, and we're talking about Jimmy has been discussing wanting to do some vertical video and stuff and putting that on other platforms. And, Blitz here and Arden, we've been kind of talking casual in the group chat as well that like it would be cool to stream these things on TikTok and whatnot. Good gravy. We would get more calls then. It would be very easy to get lots and lots and lots of people, but that's down the line. Maybe you and I should just do a joint live or something over there.
Yeah, absolutely. We could.
Yeah, I don't know how to do it. I'm an old stupid man. The problem is I was good at TikTok, and then I got really fucking frustrated with TikTok and stopped using TikTok for a long time. And now I'm so behind the 8 ball. I have to go back and relearn how to do everything.
Yeah, I mean, look,
you swarthy young parson to tell me,
Hold on, Forrest. How old are you?
Oh, too old. I'm 42.
You're 42? Damn, you have good
32.
skin.
I'm fucking with you. I'm 32.
Okay, I'm 32 too. So
okay, well,
I'm like, you're not older than me. Can way that you're like older than me.
You don't know.
Well, that's why I asked. Anyway, yeah, we can absolutely get TikTok going. We can host a live. We can talk about it over DMs or something. We can get something sort of
figure it out. Yeah, because I would love to do that. It sounds like I've been seeing you going live more and more. I want to get in on that. That sounds like fun.
Well, yeah, because now I'm live at a different time because I'm back in the States.
Hey, we can get. I've got one dude who is on TikTok. I'll tell you more about it later on. But I've got one dude on TikTok who made several videos about me with just the most Jordan Peterson level arguments about how I can't say that religion is bad because nobody knows what religion is. And like I would love if he's already on TikTok. Can we get him on? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Yes, can we get that dude on a call? It'd be fun.
Probably not. I doubt it. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Block us.
He's actually a mutual of mine. Interestingly enough.
That's wild.
Yeah. I'm mutuals with quite a few people who believe in God.
Me too.
He's a philosophy professor, so that's why that's why I follow him, because he actually has some insight on some things. Although I haven't seen that video that you're talking about.
A lot of my mutuals and a lot of my audience watches him all the time, and they're like, "I was a big fan of this dude. What the fuck's going on right now?" And like, it's weird. It's really weird. Yeah, I have no personal agenda, no personal issue with the guy, but it would be fun to actually get to talk to him. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, no, that would be an interesting conversation, certainly. My understanding, and I could be wrong, but my understanding is that there's some super chats to read.
I believe there are. Yes. Hey. Look at that.
Wow, great timing.
I love it. It's $4.99 from goddamn Deconstruction Zone. Holy
Justin.
Shit. This is the science duo that the world needs. Let's fucking go. You know Justin as well?
Yeah, I do a weekly show with him.
That's fantastic. I'm trying to do more shows with him. He's fucking great. Aloof and difficult to get a hold of.
Well, yeah, he's busy this summer.
I think he and I are gonna try to do this show, SkepTalk. We're trying to do it next month or something like that.
He's great.
But like, he's fantastic. I've hosted with him, I think only once, if I remember right. But it was on like the Atheist Experience or some shit. And I want to get him over here so we can really start digging into some things. Crazy smart guy.
Yeah.
Don't let him hear you say that, though. I don't want to go to his head. Are we trading back and forth? What do you want to do?
Sure. Why not? I'll read this one from Woolite Mammoth with the $5, and it's about me, and a little bit about you. Blitz, been tuning into your streams. You're doing an awesome job with the climate change and anti-science topics. Oh, Forrest, you're okay too. Wink. I mean, yeah, thanks for watching, I guess. I hate having to do the political stuff, but it seems necessary now.
It does suck that that's where we're at. $5 from Prisoner Fan 648. Forrest, what fun name would you call someone who's calling in from Arizona? Might have worded that oddly. What? How would I don't know, man. A and Z, asshole zombies, or something else. I don't know. This is the first one that popped into my head. You're not seeing that fucking gnat. You're not seeing that thing.
Actually, I saw it. That's the second time I saw it. I saw it like 30 minutes ago, and I wanted to bring it up, but you were in the middle of saying something.
I'm gonna fucking lose it because he's just in here being an asshole.
The secret is to just get a cat and then just hold your cat up to the gnat and just watch them eat it. I do that all the time with my cat. She's really good at it.
That the problem is that the trade-off is not good enough. Like I would have to then have a cat. And that sounds awful.
Cats are great. No, cats are great. Cats are like having a roommate that sometimes lick your face while you're sleeping.
And also, they lick your face with the same tongue that they wipe their ass with. What is that?
Look. Dogs are grosser. Okay.
No argument that dogs are also gross. I'm just saying. The dogs at least didn't bury their poop with their hands that they jumped on your bed with. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I'm talking about.
This is a conversation for another time, I think, but we need to sell you. You just haven't met the right cats, okay? I used to be a dog person, still a dog person, love all animals, but like I've had cats for 10 years. They're great. They're great for grad students. And I hear that's what you are now. So you're just saying.
I just finished a second. I've been a grad student. I'm now a PhD student.
Well, that's a type of grad student.
I guess. I did. I was convinced that I was never going to do a PhD, so I did a second master's. And as I was finishing that one, I finished the second master's this last semester. And right after I was done, I got invited to speak at the same university, but at a different campus. And I was like, I gave them the same spiel. I was like, oh yeah, I just finished up here. I'm never doing a PhD. And they're like, well, what would you do if you could do one? And I sent them a research proposal, and they're like, let's do it. Start tomorrow. So that's what I'm doing now.
That's a great way to get started. All right, we have $5 from SJL. Mm-hmm. If we came from grandparents, why are there still cousins? This from an engineer who last studied evolution in high school in the 70s. It's not that hard. Look, and no shade towards engineers. I promise. You guys do great. You guys build the world that we live in. But electrical engineers have this trait of, especially retired ones, they think that they've proved why Einstein was wrong and why their new theory of everything is always right. It's always like 65-year-old white men who used to be electrical engineers. And then similarly, you have like computer science type engineers or software engineers who are like, the universe is a simulate. It's like how if an engineer doesn't know how to think anything except they're fearing. I just don't understand it.
Are you breaking? You're cutting in and out for me, and it sounded like you said engineers don't know how to think about anything except for their theories. Is that what you said?
What I said, yep.
It's sick. Yeah. I don't have that much experience with electrical engineers to make such a statement, but like, fuck you guys, I guess.
No, they're great. They're great. Just retired ones are terrible.
$10 from the retired ones are terrible. From Abdruzglitch. If we found another universe, would it still be another universe? Or would it become part of our universe since the universe is everything in existence? I wonder this as well. I don't know if I'm ever wording
That's
things
a definition
right.
Game. It's a definition game, right?
Right. it's hard whenever I talk about this because I'm trying to make sure I'm saying things properly, but I'm usually not. This is yours. Sorry.
Oh yeah, sure. £5 from Jessica87. I think that I said that right. My prophecy: we won't have another caller as stupid or irrelevant or useless as Georgie for the rest of the show. Hashtag Espion sucks. Hashtag Zerba for line logo. Look, I don't want to say that he's useless. He's a person, and he deserves respect. It's just his ideas are bad.
If we even knew what his ideas were, which as far as I can gather was everything you believe is true and also God. And also time doesn't exist.
Or space.
Or
By
anything.
The way, I am titling the clip with him Timu Jordan Peterson 100%. Like, that's in my notes. It's ready.
I can't get past that. I want to go talk to him again. Every space and time are God, and also space and time don't exist. It's what?
Just it. Yep.
What? Fucking bizarre. Also, kudos to you for deciphering Jessica, because I would have totally Psycha, and I wouldn't have thought anything of it because I'm incredibly stupid. $9.99 from JM3097. Hey Forrest, we met briefly outside yesterday after your presentation. I mentioned going back to college next month, and I'm super excited. Any advice for someone pursuing biology as a career? Yeah, just I say never stop learning at the end of all my videos. I feel like that is especially true in biology more than any other field of science, because like biology, every single time you think you've got it pinned down, look under the next rock and you will have your complete fucking world blown apart. Start with the weird stuff first. Study what interests you most, and then work your way backwards to what you have to know, because it's more fun that way. If you start with, okay, well, I gotta know what a fucking amino acid is so that I can learn what a protein is, so I can learn what a tissue is, so I can learn what this, and then all the way up to how the fuck does this thing fly? Start with the weird thing and then work your way backwards to the complex, because then it makes the complex stuff and the tedious nitty-gritty things less tedious and a lot more fun, and it makes them as exciting as everything else. That's my advice. Start weird and then get technical, not the other way around.
Oh, we have £5 from Jessica87 again. Can we get a Tommy Valkai shirt riding Zerba, eating a bucket of KFC while burning a Bible and a rainbow flag flying straight out of his ass? Is that an option?
Copyright issues.
Makes sense. Yeah, KFC. Can't have that.
Yeah. The entire idea is scrapped. $4.99 from ARZev. I think that's ARZev. Sure. 8237. Dr. Blitz on the line with Forrest, two of my favorite science communicators. Hell yeah. Get better favorites. Blitz is all right. I'm just here.
I mean, we're all just here. $4.99 from Vandalia 1998. Biological question for Forrest. Using, you know what? You can read this one.
This is are eukaryote separated? What the fuck? Archaeans? Okay, so there's a lot of spelling and capitalization here going on, but I'm just from monophyletic clades is what I'm guessing this means. Are eukaryote separated from the domain archaea or deep within it is what I'm assuming this means. Strictly speaking, archaea are more closely related to us, but they are still a distinct clade in and of themselves. So using monophyletic clades, no, they would still be distinct domains. If anybody wants me to explain that, happy to do so. Also happy to go back and explain the word nucleation, because we use that word a lot, and I realized that might be a hang up for some people that didn't know what that was all about. Yeah, that's why I'll leave that there. Yes, they are definitely different clades. $5 from Abtruse Glitch. Please explain how lightning is antimatter in clouds. I've never heard that before. Bitch, we did. We covered it.
Yeah, we had that covered. But to be fair,
that's exactly like a Van der Graaf generator, and everything I said was true.
Exactly. Yeah. I saw that super chat pop up, and then I explained it after the guest left. So yeah, I can understand the question. Yeah. So technically, a slight bit of misinformation. This is not 100% known, and it's still not fully understood. $10 from Abstruse Glitch again. Wow, very generous. And people want to just say God did it when the actual universe is this interesting and cool. Yeah, basically any branch of physics and or any subfield of physics. And I guess biology and chemistry and psychology and sociology. I guess the other things, but also physics. You just look anywhere and you find cool stuff.
Right. I'm sorry. I just moved my preview capture that shows what to see. Can you let me know in the chat if I just look dark as all hell right now? Because I'm looking. Okay, well, maybe
your lighting
it's
hasn't changed, but it is darker than it was in your old setup. So
okay,
if you want,
well,
we can do
I'm
a tech setup someday to
it's
try
fine.
to work it out.
I've got the actual stream over here, and I've got the preview that I make sure I don't look too stupid during the show over here. And I just moved everything so I have the vMix here, and it is dark as it could possibly be. It looks horrific. Okay, never mind. I'm sorry. I hate to keep bringing attention to it. I just don't want the stream to look terrible. And it's a totally new setup with a totally new camera and lighting, everything. And I've literally got it fixed 5 minutes before this show. And I feel like I'm doing a bad job as a host. So I wanted to make sure I was okay. $10 from Firebird XX, Firebird 20, maybe? Who knows? Dr. Blitz, welcome to the line. You have the coolest mic ever. Your polychromatic bees must be proud. I don't know what that means.
I mean, you know what they say. Hexagons are the bestagons, and these are hexagons. Bees also like hexagons. So, yeah, I get it.
When I was in Ecuador, we were in the Galapagos Islands last year, I guess. And they had on Santa Cruz Island, which is the most populated island and the most urban or the most modern. They had a science museum there, and it's science and history museum, and oh fuck yeah! And then on the other side of the building, way the fuck over there, it says Church of Seventh-day Adventists, and you go in. And one half of it's a big U-shaped room, and you go in one side, and it's just here's the birds around the islands, and here's how volcanoes work, and all this stuff. And you literally turn the corner, and it's blood is irreducibly complex, and DNA couldn't possibly have evolved. It must be Jesus. And they had a whole hall dedicated to hexagons and how bees make hexagons, and certain plants have hexagon shapes and all these things, and that cannot possibly be an accident. God does math and made hexagons, and that's how he programmed everything to know what hexagons are. And hexagons prove that Jesus is real. And that was the first time I had ever heard a new creationist argument in I can't even tell you how many years.
Yeah, that one's novel. I think I just converted.
Yeah, that's what it was right.
I mean, brilliant. All it takes is just one more explanation, right? So we have $5 from Jason Guzman. Are there places so far apart that they have already experienced a heat death in the unimaginable doldrums of cosmic space? Forrest bought his badges.
Fuck you.
I don't know what that last bit means. But roughly speaking, no. Heat death is a phenomenon that we expect to happen when the only source of new particles that you might say come from the cosmic horizon. So cosmic horizon is basically the region of, or kind of the boundary of your observable universe. And because it's a horizon, one of the expectations is that you have Hawking radiation there, essentially. So you have kind of energy leaking in. So your region of space will never be at 0 degrees because you'll always have some energy leaking in, but it'll be at some equilibrium temperature. And as far as we know, there is not a single region in space where the only things present is this Hawking radiation leaking in from the cosmic horizon. You would need a bubble of space that's 96-ish billion light years across. Which,
wild.
We can't see them. If they were, then we would be in it.
That's crazy. That is crazy. $5 from Firebird XX. Jimmy, Forrest, did Jimmy find you or vice versa? He found me, I believe, because I started on Dying Out Loud. No, Dave Warnock and Genevieve had a show called That Goddamn Show. They did my first ever atheist stream thing, and then that got me onto Truth Wanted, which got me onto Talk Heathen, which got me onto the Atheist Experience, and somewhere in that, after that time, then Jimmy Snow reached out to me and was like, hey, I also have an ACNet network. And I deleted that email. I was like, who the fuck is this guy? I've never heard of this guy before. But he was persistent. And I found out through asking other people, like, hey, have you heard of this fucking guy? And they were like, oh, no, yeah, he's legit. You should probably work with him. And then I think it was actually Matt Dillahunty was like, yeah, probably you should do the show. I'm on that network too. And I was like, oh, neat. And so, yeah, he found me, I believe.
$20 from ZM-TX3B. Don't know what that means. Is there a time when it's fine to put a conclusion first and then gather evidence? When my gut is, this is what's moral, but don't really have a good defense against those with intense political or, quote, scientific views. I think that probably when lives are on the line, but Forrest, what do you think?
Yeah, I would say like you have to make a split-second moral decision that's going to save some lives. You don't have time to go do lit review. You know what I mean? But like, sometimes you just have to fucking do what's best. In terms of like what you believe and stuff like that, I would say you should take time. Everybody makes assumptions, and everybody has things that just they kind of go by gut feeling and they don't think about it. If you're being careful and cognizant and really observing your thought process, you should be taking time to kind of go back and be like, okay, so why though? Even your most deeply held beliefs, even the most things you're like, obviously this is the moral choice. Take some time to poke at it. You know what I mean? As far as putting the conclusion first and gathering evidence, you could do something similar to that. You talk about, hypothesis testing. Here's what I think is going on. I'm going to go try to find out. And if this is true, I'm testing the model. If this is true, I should find this. So I'm going to operate as if this is true and see if it works and follows it. That kind of thing. Sure, that's what science is all about. But in terms of like believing it and assuming it, very different vibes. Is this you or me? I think this is me. $5 for Monkey at Typewriter. Conspiracy theories should be falsifiable. Conspiracy theorists may not be. My dad is a 9/11 truth guy. Thankfully, stupidity isn't always heritable. Yeah, I think that's a great question. Is like, we talk about that when we talk about God quite a bit, and I talk about that when I try to debate evolution quite a bit. It's like, is there anything that I could possibly say that you couldn't explain away and that would actually change your mind? And I think if we talk about things like Trump fucking being a fascist cult leader, talking about the United States is currently building fucking concentration camps, talking about genocide in Palestine, talking about LGBT people and whether or not conversion therapy is a good, safe thing, whether or not the COVID vaccine is safe and effective. Pick your favorite thing that's like this hard thing to get across to right-wing people, to conservative people. I think that would be a thing. Okay, I'm trying to get across to you that Trump is a fucking creep. And you're not believing me when I tell you that here's pictures of him with Epstein. You're not believing me when I show you that clip of Trump on Howard Stern saying that he likes to walk into the changing room and see the underage girls in his teen beauty pageant getting changed and looking at their beautiful bodies, and he gets to do it because he's the owner of the pageant. Nobody can stop him. You don't listen to me when I show you the clip of him saying I grab women by the pussy and I just start kissing even if I don't ask permission. They let me do it because I'm a star. You don't listen when we say, here's this clip of Trump telling a 10-year-old girl that maybe in 10 years he'll start dating her. You don't listen when he says of his daughter, if we weren't related, I'd date her too because she's got great legs and we'll see if she inherits her mother's tits. You don't listen to any of those things. So what could we actually say that could change your mind? What could there be that that you could not dismiss? And if you can't think of anything, then I'm not going to waste my time thinking of anything for you, because clearly this is a conspiracy theory. This is just a religion, a dogmatic belief that you have bought into hook, line, and sinker, and there's no reason to actually engage with you any further because you're in a fucking cult. I think that's a great way to phrase these things.
From at Sathump10 with the $5. If you switched bodies with Elon Musk for 24 hours, what would you do? You also have access to all of his money and social media platforms. There are things I would do that I can't say on a live stream.
I can tell you I was going to say he'd be walking differently in the next 24 hours because I was hoping there would be just enough weird implications, but there's too many weird implications for a joke like that. Yeah, I'd give a lot of money away, y'all. I'd be making a lot of apologies, and I'd be doing a lot of things that did a lot of good for a lot of people. Yeah, dude. I do a lot of things for a lot of people. That man would not be the richest man in the world when I was done. $5 from Demand 1034.5. There's a lot of numbers. How would you respond to somebody whose every response to why I disagree with XYZ in the Bible is I only believe the Old Testament? So if someone only believes the Old Testament, that's wild. Most people who are calling in saying dismiss the Old Testament. They say, oh no, we should be only focusing on the New Testament, and then they get really grumpy when you point out that all 3 versions of the 10 Commandments are in the Old Testament. But if someone only believes the Old Testament,
well, they're just Jewish then. That's called just being Orthodox Jewish, I guess.
Yeah, worse, because now you have like you have the genocide and slavery God. Then you don't just have the kind of weak asshole God who only believes in all the evil shit by circumstance. You know what I mean? You don't have hell to work with. That's nice. But you do have slavery and genocide to deal with and all that, and the rape and the sex slavery, and you still have misogyny. There's a problem. But you don't have blood sacrifice in the same way. You have some blood sacrifice. You have some human sacrifice, but not as much. And not as big of an... Yeah, you have Jephthah and all that, but you don't have as big of an implication of human sacrifice as the New Testament does.
Yeah, there's some pros, there's some cons, you know.
Woof. The question was, what would your response be? My response would be to stare at them blankly for a minute. Just
give them the Gen Z stare.
Yes.
5 British pounds from @Jessica87. Well done, Blitz. My actual legal name is indeed Jessica Doodoo McButtface. #Zerba for president. #dogs literally eat their own shit and stink. #cats are the bestest. That's true. That's true. I mean, look, cats are famously clean. They are, they're fastidious, if you will. But they definitely do lick their buttholes sometimes. So,
They do. Gross things. By the way, the person who said in chat that Forrest is a superposition of Tommy and not Tommy. That's what I'm going to start saying. It's a Trinitarian thing. I am both the Tommy and the not Tommy. I am both the Forrest and the Tommy and the Holy Ghost. I think that is the show, though. I think that's it. Oh, good show today.
That's great. Yeah.
Chill. Very chill.
Yeah. I mean, way more calm than I guess I kind of expected, like, fairly. By the way, I think I own that shirt.
Just a black Henley that's kind of stretchy?
Yeah, with the buttons and the place and the kind of, like, I think I own that.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Sorry, it's been bothering me this whole time.
Comfortable as all hell. I'll give it back when I'm done.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
But before we wrap up, do you want to tell people where to find you and what platforms they should be supporting you on?
Yeah, that's a good idea. So, I mean, most of the people watching this are probably on YouTube, which means that if you want to follow me on YouTube, then you can do that. Just type in my name on YouTube, which is BlitzPhD, and or Dr. Blitz, and you'll probably find me. I go live every single weekday morning from 9 a.m. to around noon, and I talk with theists sometimes. I talk to MAGA people sometimes. Sometimes I just answer questions that people have about physics for an hour and a half. So, you'll find me there. However, if you want to see the content that I make, which is what I spent most of my time doing, that's not true. If you want to see the content that I make about physics, the best place to see it is on YouTube. On TikTok, because I post there every day.
Right on.
Either debunking content or just teaching you about lightning, teaching you about, I don't know, superconductors, something like that. But
love that.
But I do have one more thing. I'm working on my first longish form YouTube content. So look for that in the near future. Maybe that'll be happening. Who knows?
Better. It's better. It's so much better. I always encourage everybody to move over to YouTube because it's so much better. Arden in the chat, who doesn't like a casual butthole lick, to be honest? Good thing it's the end of the show. Go to bed. Go to bed. Thanks so much to Arden for producing. Thank you so much to our call screener tonight. Thank you so much to our to Blitz for being an awesome co-host and being so amazing. Thank you so much to all of our mods in chat. Thank you so much to all the people in chat, even the ones that suck. Thank you to all of our callers, even the ones that suck. Stay sciencey, lick ass consensually. Have an awesome rest of your day and never stop learning. Bye.